there between horses. Off stride, Sweet as Money. Sweet as Money goes on a break. As the field moves on to the first turn, it's Pink Shoo Shoo outside of Kendra, and Pink Shoo Shoo has a short lead. Racing next in third, that's Vogish, and then a length and 3/4 back to Woodside Is. Demarara Hanover comes next. It's 2 further to Swan Fine Rose, then Dover Lady. Next is Fancy Schmancy, and at the back end of the field, Sweet as Money, and 4 more to Ponda Fashion. Going on a break on the back stretch is Demarara Hanover. Demarara Hanover has gone off stride. So they're now approaching the half-mile pole. Pink Shoo Shoo, a length from Kendra. The half is on the board in 57 4. The second quarter, 30 2. Pink Shoo Shoo, the 2 to 5 favorite, leads stablemate Kendra as they move on to the second turn. Vogish is third. Woodside Is comes next, and then up on the outside is Fancy Schmancy. Swan Fine Rose with Dover Lady, and then after that is Sweet as Money as the field comes to the top of the stretch. 3/4 time, 1:27 3. It's Pink Shoo Shoo off the turn with the lead. Vogish is moving up on the outside. Kendra is to the inside third. Fancy Schmancy is racing fourth as Vogish now comes on the outside. Pink Shoo Shoo, Kendra trying to rally up the inside. 3 across the track, deep stretch. Vogish, Pink Shoo Shoo, and Kendra, and it is Kendra and Vogish in a photo. Third was Pink Shoo Shoo, finishing fourth. Woodside Is in 1:54 3.
Our first live race on the program, and it's a thriller down to the wire. Kendra coming up the inside in the tight photo with Vogish, who is grinding on the outside. Those two not separated by much coming down to the wire, Paul.
I'll say this for Vogish, that was a big effort for that horse who's been a work in progress for Team Harris for sure. It was the only horses that were in range in this race that actually ran 1, 2, 3. And if he got there, though, Acacia, if she got there, excuse me, it was like the final jump. I thought Kendra ran a remarkable race, sitting right behind her stablemate in here. And as they hit the line, it was close. I'm not going to call that.
I'm not going to either. I thought Kendra running an exceptional race, as you mentioned, saving ground, able to come up the inside, and she definitely had her nose in front at some point. But Vogish, like I said, kind of grinding along and coming back off of a disappointing performance where she broke stride. A horse that maybe has not necessarily been the most consistent throughout, and as you could even see in the difference in price between the two, and she certainly put forth a good effort this evening, whether she got there or not.
Yeah, we'll see how that photo shakes out. They're showing the one up there, so I'm thinking that maybe she did get up. And listen, you know, when you go back 3 starts back at Lexington, she did run a good race. She was the favorite that day as well, and things just didn't go her way in the starts prior to that. Now they're showing both the horses, so maybe we got a dead heater here?
I don't know. I think usually they try to give a little love to both the horses just in case and make sure that, you know, before the final order of finish is posted, we make sure we acknowledge both of the runners in that tight photo finish. And so we'll see how it does play out. That's a look at the one Vogish. She was in that tight photo finish with Kendra, both of whom raced very well this evening for these 2-year-old fillies. A big effort today. The pace was set by the favorite, Pink Shoo Shoo, who, while she held on to be right there, just not quite enough late.
Yeah, and she went 30 2 in that second quarter mile. So you thought she would have caught a little bit of a breather there, but she just didn't have enough left when they got to mid-stretch, and she started to get swallowed a bit on both sides. But still, the top 3 were the 3 who were in range. You had a couple of breakers in there, but this was a solid start to the night. We got what we wanted, a really good battle down to the wire.
Yeah, absolutely. Vogish, as you see Todd McCarthy in the bike there, as it has been posted a dead heat.
All right, I'll take that. I'll take a heater to start the night, and at least I had one winner on top so far.
A good call with Kendra, who Paul liked, as she is in that dead heat in the Kentucky Anna. As we mentioned, though, plenty more to come as the Caesars Trotting Classic, one of the highlights on the card this evening. Coming up a little bit later on, we'll go as race 13, this 1-mile trot, as we'll take a look at the field here. And there are some big names coming up as we'll take a look at Periculum and Oh Well, who are getting a chance to rematch after they both have faced each other. And we're taking a look at the Mohawk back at the end of August.
You know, if you watch this race from the start, you'll notice one thing. Like, this race set up perfectly for closers with the fractions they were setting out there. And MM's Dream, who's fourth right now, got hung out, couldn't clear, and you just knew this race was going to completely incinerate and come apart with those fractions. Logan Park in front got the separation, but here comes Periculum, and here comes Owell on the outside. And Periculum has just been a different kind of horse in the last few starts. Maybe it's Scotty's ear on. Scotty says that it's been a body of work through the years with this horse, not just necessarily him getting aboard, but that's a really nice horse in Periculum. And also, I think you have to look at Owell as well, who came from off the pace in there.
Nice effort by those two, and I should say that was in the Maple Leaf at Woodbine Mohawk, as we'll get a chance to see them rematch 5-2 in the morning line, though, and Periculum, as Gabe and Jess still with us. As Periculum, guys, we talked about that performance. Then we saw this horse finishing second behind Jiggy Jug. Certainly no shame in that.
Absolutely not at all. Of course, Jiggy Jog going on to win the Yonkers International Trot as a mare. She's been undefeated this season. And just to go back to Periculum, Gabe, now this guy went away and raced overseas before coming back into the Melander barn. And, you know, he's 6 for 11 this season. But I think, you know, throughout the season, he's getting stronger and stronger.
He really is, because, Jess, it takes a little bit for horses to acclimate. When you go across the pond, so to speak, to race and get away from the States for a little bit, you had that long ship. You have to quarantine when you arrive back in the States for quite some time, and then you have to get back into your training regimen. So I don't think it's any surprise. It's taken Periculum a little bit to get in gear, but believe me, he is in big gear right now. As you mentioned, he comes off that runner-up at the $1 million Yonkers Trot, one of the biggest stages in the entire sport. That was his last start. You took a look at the win there from Woodbine at Mohawk Park. And Owell, the runner-up there we took a look at, he closed from last, but he suffered from a little bit of second-itis throughout his career, including in last year's Hamiltonian.
You know, going back to the Maple Leaf Trot with Periculum, parked every step of the mile, and I think that speaks volume there. And well, 0 for 8 on the season, but he's been a hard hitter on the board. What about winner's bet and that effort at Scioto last time out?
Sensational, Jess. That was the Charlie Hill Memorial there at Souder Downs. $260,000 on the line this night. And you're going to see a winner's bet who was on the outside. He's going to be your sweeper. The back half here was sensational. A Standardbred's, of course, race at a 1 mile distance, so it's, you know, you're obviously your quarter fractional times, but he trotted a back half in 53 and change here to get up in time for driver Dexter Dunn, of course, the 4-time consecutive Dan Patch Driver of the Year. That was about as good as I've ever seen winners bet in his life. We'll see if he can duplicate it here tonight. Consistency has been his main issue.
And, you know, I know people have a few questions about the break and the Maple Leaf Trot elimination. I had a chance to chat with Nancy. She said, I think he just got a bit too hot outside of the gate, and obviously he bounced back well with that at Scioto Downs. And, you know, how can you discount the horses that are going to start 1-2? It's academic. Maybe not the most appealing lines the last two, but we know what kind of class he has, and he was a winner in this event last year.
Well, class is key in this field, Jess. This is a field of 10. Later on the Caesars Trotting Classic, they have combined for over $10 million in purse earnings, and it's academic. The horse you just mentioned, he leads the way at over $2.5 million. They're headlining the field. He's got post one. He's got Dave Miller, Hall of Famer, the bike. He's the second leading money-winning driver, the history of the sport of harness racing, only behind John Campbell. So he knows how to get it done with the big bucks on the line, but he's just been a little dull lately, maybe. He was not quite as sharp at that Yonkers Trot, but about the time we start to count him out every time, it's typically when he steps up with a big effort.
Yes, absolutely. And the horse to the outside of that, Chapper Craze, Ronnie Burke, Yannick Gingras teaming up here. The lone win on the season comes in that Hamiltonian maturity. He's got over 400,000 banks just this season. Even with a few blemishes on his card, I think he's very sharp.
Well, he's a horse that I'm very friendly with, because you remember that Hamiltonian
You
maturity.
had him on
He was
top.
my top pick here on the Meadowlands Pay Show at 32-1. So I've got a soft spot in my heart for Chapper Craze. I think he'll be very close tonight. He's 6-1.
Yes.
He drew a good post there with post two, and I think he arrives into this race deceptively sharp, and I think he'll be aggressively handled by driver Yannick Gingras.
I definitely have to agree with you there. He's coming out of that same race at Scioto Park, past a quarter from post 7, kind of hit the brakes there a little bit and just got out-trotted by winner's bet. No fault there. Still thought it was a game effort.
No, it really was a game effort. They went a big mile there, and perhaps maybe he's not at his best when he's on the lead.
Right.
Standardbreds by nature, they like to draft. You know, they're not doing quite as much work when they're drafting along. When you're the one on the lead, you're taking all that air, and it's just a lot more heavy lifting. So I think last time he was on the lead. Tonight I'm hoping he gets away close close, but if he can draft along with this long Hoosier Park stretch, as we've talked about, hopefully he can shake loose like he did in that Hamiltonian Maturity.
Yes, like you had mentioned, I think he's got a game shot in here as well. If the trip works out for him, there's 10 solid contenders in this race. I'm excited to dive a little bit more deeper into it as it gets closer, but for now, we'll send it back to the desk.
We look forward to seeing what plays out coming up a little bit later on in the Caesars Trotting Classic. And Gabe is allowed to pat himself on the back when you give out 36 to 1 shot as your top pick. He was on fire Meadowlands Pace Night.
Yeah, no doubt. Please. It's hard enough to pick one winner, let alone one at 36 to 1.
That's
so
right.
props to Gabe for that.
The race prior to that will be the Hoosier Pacing Derby, race 12 this evening. This 21-mile pace. And taking a look at some of the big contenders in here, Little Rocket Man, taking a look at the race back on September 7th for him. This is a horse that's been in very good form, just incredibly consistent throughout his career.
What's so cool about this horse, Acacia, is not only does he power away from this group, I mean, that's just one thing, but when you look at this horse's body of work and just how hard-knocking he is, how he shows up all the time, and it's not like he's done it for a year. He's won 27 races over the last 2 seasons, so he always gets the job done. He could do it from on or off the pace. He's the hometown hero in here, and he's a deserved favorite in here. I mean, there's tough horses in here, too, so I'm not sure how short of a price he should be.
As you mentioned, I mean, 10 for 13 in 2024 so far. We'll see what he does. And facing some talented horses, among them the likes of It's My Show and a Buckabet Hanover. We covered the Little Brown Jug yesterday. Last year's Jug winner, It's My Show, has come back in 2024 with a couple of other big victories, including last time out.
Yeah, I mean, man, if you had a Buckabet Hanover in here, though, I mean, I feel bad for you because he did all the heavy lifting. He gave it. I mean, he gave everything he had to Vukafalis, put him away, took the lead, and then just got nailed because there's that guy again, Scotty Z, Scotty Zeron, doing his magic, working the muscle, getting it done, and he found a way through to get the job done with It's My Show. This race came up really good with a lot of good horses in here. It's tough to take a short price on anyone in here because there's a lot of different ways that you can go.
And it's kind of a cool thing, too, with It's My Show and a Buckabet Hanover. They've faced each other a few times this season, kind of taking some turns, beating one another, and there's not that much that separates them. So we look forward to that Hoosier Pacing Derby, which will be one of the highlights this evening, along with the Caesars Trotting Classic, which we discussed, the Jenna's Beach Boy in race 11. 7 through 13 still to come over at Hoosier. Today's races, as always, presented by our friends at Claiborne Farm. Just a reminder, you can join Naira Bets today. Sign up, get all of the action on our program and more with a $200 deposit match bonus. Race 6, the Kentucky Anna, was our first race on the program, and it was a dead heat, so we're going to have 2 winner circle photos. There's the photo. You could not separate the 2 of them. Vogish closest to us and Kendra inside, both of whom put forth a very strong performance today, $8.40 and $4 for the return.
The cool thing is when you look at that photo that we just showed too, both drivers are looking at the inside because they're looking at the infield board and looking at the guy inside of them to see if they got there on the line, and that's what makes it great.
It was a lot of fun to start things off. Pink Shoo Shoo, your heavy favorite, will have to settle for running behind those dead heating winners. Talking about the Little Brown Jug and American Harness Racing tradition continued yesterday afternoon, where we got a chance to see Captain Albano dominant in his elimination round and dominant in the final as well.
It all comes down to the Breeders' Crown on Friday, October 25th and Saturday, October 26th at the Meadowlands Racetrack. The $6.6 million Breeders' Crown has 12 championship races over 2 days. Friday night highlights the top 2-year-old trotters and pacers. Saturday features 4 divisions for the top 3-year-olds and 4 races for the world's best open trotters and pacers. Post time both nights, 6:20 p.m. October 26th also has a free handicapping contest with a $10,000 prize pool. Details at playmeadowlands.com. Must be 18 or older to wager. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
You're watching America's Day at the Races with our live coverage with you this evening from Harrah's Hoosier Park. Some harness racing on the program tonight as we take a look at race 7 coming up next at the Phil Langley Memorial for 3-year-old colts and geldings, a 1-mile trot. French Chronos currently a heavy favorite. Paul, your thoughts on this race?
I'm going to jump on the 1 Greenspan in here with Todd McCarthy. You know, just didn't get the right trip last time out in the Sire Stakes Championship in Pennsylvania. TCI won that race. We all know how good TCI has been. Just ended up stacked up 3rd over and then had to go 3 wide off of that. It's a better post tonight. Save a little bit of ground. So I'm going to take a shot here that Greenspan gets back to the race 2 back that he ran in the Beal Consolation race.
Intriguing race coming up here in the 7th. Let's check back in with Gabe and Jess.
Thanks, Acacia. It's a very good group of horses we have in here, Gabe, and we were just talking a little bit off camera. Dexter Dunn was listed on the 1 and the 3, and he opted with the 3, and that's where you're going to go as well.
It is where I'm going to go with my top pick, Jess. In the sport of harness racing, the way it works, when you enter a horse, you list whatever driver of your choosing. Now, what happens when the sheet comes out and everyone sees who's entered, if that driver is listed on multiple choices, they get to choose which horse they'd like to drive. So it's sort of a tell. Sometimes you're handicapping the races. Again, Dexter was listed on the 1 Greenspan. He's driven him his last couple of starts, so he knows the horse well. He opted off. So to me, that was a tell. That's why I like the 3 French Chronos. Unfortunately, he's going to be the favorite. But trader Marcus Melander, one of the top trotting traders in the sport. Of course, he trained the 3-time Breeders' Crown winner Jim Panzi, amongst many others. And you get French Chronos here. His brother, Matthias Melander, has been driving of late. In fact, every single start this year, Matthias is a nice young man. He does a nice job at the bike. But even Matthias would tell you he is no Dexter Dunn. Dexter's the top driver in the sport. He's been the Dan Patch leading driver of the year 4 consecutive years. He gets in the bike here for the first time. I think it's a key angle, but again, the fans are reacting here as he's up there at an odds-on price. French Chronos right now just 4 to 5.
You know, another driver change that we've seen lately is Ben Matthias to Scott Zeron, and I think it's a key thing because obviously Matthias works in the barn with his brother Marcus, and I kind of like that when they get a chance to sit behind them, not only in the barn every day, but then they go on the track and sit behind them in a race. They can kind of tell their little quirks and try to work it out of them before maybe putting a Scott Zeron or a Dexter Dunn up on them.
Well, it's a good tell because I think when they do put up one of the top catch drivers, they think they're ready to roll. It's trying to take the training wheels off and take a big shot. I think that's what we're going to see here tonight. But I do see the Indiana-based horse, Jess, is taking a lot of play here as well. Dashing Daddy from post number 6. He is 15 of 24 in his career. The 3-year-old Jess has never left the state of Indiana in his life. He's already made over $344,000. He rides a 5-race win streak into tonight, but he hasn't tackled tough company like this. He's been in against Indiana state breds only. This is a wide open race with horses bred all across the country. So that's the tough challenge tonight for Dashing Daddy. We'll see if he's up to the task here as they get set for race 7. We'll send it upstairs with Michael Chamberlain. We'll have the call of the Phil Langley Memorial. This one worth $100,000.
On French Chronos. Field is on gate. They are off. And French Chronos starts well, as does Greenspan to the inside. Brookview El Zotto away 3rd. CS Flying Co-Pilot, then Globemaster, and Dashing Danny is 6th and last, as Greenspan is holding French Chronos at bay for the moment, and Greenspan now does have the lead by a length. French Chronos is next, 2nd. Brookview El Zotto is racing 3rd. After that is CS Flying Co-Pilot. Globemaster is 5th, and Dashing Danny is 6th as they move on to the backstretch following a first quarter of 27-3. It's Greenspan. Greenspan with the lead a length. French Chronos 2nd, then 2 further to Brookview El Zotto, who is trying to get closer to that top pair. Racing 4th, CS Flying Co-Pilot, then Globemaster, and Dashing Danny is last of the half dozen as they come to the half-mile pole. Greenspan through a half-mile of 57 seconds. French Chronos is next, then Brookview El Zotto with CS Flying Co-Pilot. Now to the outside goes Dashing Danny, trying to keep that win streak intact, and Globemaster is 6th and last. On the second turn, Greenspan and French Chronos have quickened away now, but Dashing Danny is taking up the chase and has gotten into 3rd. Off stride goes Globemaster, and also off stride is Brookview El Zotto. 3 quarters, 125 and 4, 28 and 4 third quarter. It's still Greenspan in front. French Kronos, then Dashing Danny. French Kronos angles out now to try to collar Greenspan in the final eighth of a mile. Dashing Danny third, CS Flying Co-Pilot fourth. Here comes French Kronos to take the lead. It is French Kronos and Dexter Dunn, and they have won. Greenspan was second. Then it was Dashing Danny and CS Flying Co-Pilot in 1:53.
Well, Gabe, the Phil Langley Memorial goes to French Kronos. First time Dexter Dunn, it was a new lifetime mark, 1:53. A perfect pocket trip. You don't want to be tired turning for home on the Harrah's Hoosier Park stretch.
No, with this long stretch, Jess, and driver Todd McCarthy, he was intent on the front end here with the Greenspan. He actually seated the 3 French Kronos, the favorite in behind him. But Dexter loved every bit of that pocket trip, but he looks to parlay that here. He pounces in mid-stretch, and you see Dexter just sitting like a statue. Believe me, this was a measured win. He could have won by much more. He asked French Kronos for absolutely nothing. He finishes up as easy here as he'd like to get the job done at even money.
I thought the hometown horse Dashing Danny raced well to finish third in there.
He did. Yeah, distant third. A little tougher company than he's used to facing. We did see a couple of horses lose their stride at the top of the stretch. Obviously they have to stay on the trot to compete here in these trotting races. They wanted a break, sort of like thoroughbreds when they got them. So they would have to regain their stride to be back into contention. When that happened, Dashing Danny got to move up a couple of spots there, but he gave a nice account of himself for the Indiana bred. Hits the board here in the 6-figure Phil Langley Memorial.
French Kronos is a son of FaceTime Bourbon for Marcus Melander. Dexter Dunn, even money favorite, gets the job done in the Phil Langley Memorial. We'll send it back to the desk.
Gabe and Jessica, thank you. French Kronos with the win, the favorite, victorious here. Paul, as you heard Gabe mention, definitely an eventful race with some horses going off stride, but the top 2 finishers getting that clean trip and a nice performance.
Yeah, nice separation too, and couldn't have mapped out a better trip, as Gabe had said as well about your winner French Kronos. Sat pocket right behind Greenspan and pounced at the top of the stretch. Greenspan ran well, getting back to one of the better races for him. And Dashing Danny had to make that move early because of the way they were running up front. And Hoosier Park, while it does have the longest stretch, sometimes you have to run just as fast for the back of the pack to try and play catch-up with those running in front. So sometimes it could be a little detriment.
Very good point. As French Kronos, the favorite, delivers here in the 7th, the Phil Langley Memorial, getting the victory over pace setter Greenspan. And who's that? Poking out to say hello. Hopefully we'll get a chance to see his face soon. It's Periculum, the morning line favorite. There he is.
There he is.
In the Caesars Trotting Classic coming up a little bit later on. He says, hey guys, what's all the fuss about?
Join us Friday, October 11th at Harrah's Hoosier Park for Indiana's premier night of harness racing. 12 championship races, $1.2 million in purse money, and the title of Indiana's best on the line. Along with an evening of thrills, speed, and glory, guests can enjoy contests, giveaways, food trucks, and much more. Not to mention cornhole and other outdoor activities. First post for the Hoosier Champions card is 6:15 p.m.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Sharton, a repeater in the Lady Liberty in 146 and 4, a world record performance. It doesn't get any better than that.
It's still Temporal Hanover. Temporal Hanover will take the field by 3 parts of a length.
Lion Sentinel wins off a ground-saving trip in the She's a Great Lady, and she has set the stakes, track, and Canadian record tonight.
Chosen winners, breeding champions.
We are athletes. We are drivers. We are caretakers. We are owners. We are trainers. We are fans. We are harness racing.
We're back on America's Day at the races. Here in race 7, we saw French Chronos, the favorite, victorious, getting a perfect trip. There's a little look at some of those antics from some horses going off stride, but the favorite, French Chronos, no drama, and a nice win.
Nice win for the entire team. And when we say got a perfect pocket ride, what we're talking about is the one is in front, and the horse that's directly behind the leader of the race is in that pocket and gets that perfect trip, drafting right behind the leader of the race. So it was able to pull right out and kick on. And this was a good effort. I mean, this is a good horse who just hasn't been able to kick on against some better horses. Now found a little bit easier spot tonight and showed what this horse can do and made it look pretty easy in the end.
$4.20 winner getting that trip, just as Gabe talked about earlier, drafting in behind company. As we mentioned yesterday, we got a chance to see the Little Brown Jug, full of fun sights over at the Delaware County Fair. And the historic Little Brown Jug, won by Captain Albano, who was really dominant in his elimination round. Again, those 2 heats going into the final of the Little Brown Jug. And Captain Albano delivered once again. Yes, he had the tactical advantage being forward, but he put some separation on this field.
Yeah, he showed and went back to his Adios win and his Hempt win. Now he's a Jug winner. I mean, he's back in the discussion now. He's got to be as one of the top 3-year-old Colton gelding pacers in here. I mean, the track did play yesterday to speed and you wanted to be up close, but to be fair to Captain Albano, it's not like he hadn't run well before. It's not like he hadn't run good, fast races before. He just had to answer the question, Acacia, on whether or not he was going to be able to stay flat off the break he had. He did that in the elim, took care of business, and he looked really good coming out on track for that second race of the day in the Jug. I even mentioned it yesterday, just his ears were up. He looked like he was happy. He looked like he was ready to play. And sure enough, he was, and he dusted that field pretty good yesterday.
He delivered impressively in the Little Brown Jug. Gabe and Jessica still with us. Jess, we got a chance to hear your thoughts throughout the afternoon, and I've come to be such a big fan of the Little Brown Jug, just the involvement of the community over at the Delaware County Fair, the excitement, and of course, the top-class athletes on display.
Absolutely. Like I had mentioned multiple times yesterday, Gabe, the 3rd Thursday in September, if you're not in Delaware, Ohio, you're in the wrong place.
It's unbelievable. You pack 40,000 plus.
Yeah.
I didn't get the exact number, around a half-mile track at a county fair, and I mean literally county fair. Funnel cakes, Ferris wheels, everything is part of the environment there. They're packed 5 and 6 deep all the way around the track. The atmosphere is absolutely unbelievable. And really the thing is, Jess, the origins of the sport of harness racing, these horses started to race heats against each other, multiple races in the same day, sometimes 3 and 4 heats. The Little Brown Jug is the last really traditional race left in the sport. It's the only race where horses will race twice in the same day. Those horses in the eliminations, they literally were in the 17th and 18th race. They took about an hour off. They came back for the final for over $500,000 in race 21. So that's how quick of a turnaround it is. These days, the breed has really evolved into more of a speed breed. The horses are look more slick, more athletic, as opposed to durable back in the day. That's why you see the breed just continues to evolve and get faster and faster. We see track records broken down on the regular, but we do have that one race at our playbook still, the 79th Little Brown Jug there yesterday, where those horses really have to, pass a huge test. Can they win the first heat? If they do, how are they going to come back and react about an hour later in the second heat to be that Little Brown Jug champion? We saw Captain Albano live up to the test. He won his elimination. How about the down under connections? Australian natives. They were both born there. 31-year-old driver Todd McCarthy with his first Little Brown Jug, as well as trader Noel Daly. Again, they've both been back stateside here for the last 4 or 5 years, but it was great to see a couple of good guys team up for a big win.
Yeah, and what were your impressions on Captain Albano? Because sometimes going into those final heat races, I thought his elimination was very dominant, and I was like, oh goodness, is he going to have anything left for that next heat? And he really didn't. Both heats kind of were the same thing. The horse on the front end got the job done. The second elimination maybe a little slower than the first, but I thought Captain Albano came back as sharp as he could have.
Yeah, and even though you took a look at the first heat there we just watched back, it was so effortless. He did go a big time, and he drew away and won easily, but you could see he had a lot left in the tank. Todd really never asked him. The elimination winners, Jess, interestingly enough, they come back and draw for the inside post of the Little Brown Jug. That's all important because it's a half-mile track. You have to go around it twice. The stretch is very short, and it's very difficult to close. So when the draw came out, Captain Albano had post 2. The other elimination winner, Captain's Quarters, got post 1. I thought it was a great tactical drive from driver Todd McCarthy. He drew post 2. He left out. He looked to his left, saw Captain's Quarters was releasing no one. So he opted to duck back. He drafted a long way, and he made sure that he was going to get out there in that 2-path and ended up ultimately wearing down Captain's Quarters and fending off the closer's lane.
That was going to be my next statement there. What a slick drive by Todd McCarthy, because, you know, sometimes on a half-mile track where there's no passing lane, the pocket trip could be the kiss of death, because if you get locked behind the horse on the rail and they end up stopping and the horse on your outside's not going anywhere, that's when the back of the pack gets involved in the race. He was able to drift out there a little bit in the final to kind of protect position. I don't think they were really going to get to him either, because Mirage Hanover, who was parked, how about the trip he put up?
Yeah, he was out every step of the mile. That means meaning out in the 2-path.
Right.
So when you add that extra distance you have to travel, it really takes its toll. It adds up there, especially around 4 turns where he was in the 2-path. He was the runner-up, and it did happen, as you mentioned yesterday, because the leader, Captain's Quarters, he started to tire. He wiped out a lot of the inside horses, so it was really the horses in that 2-path that marched forward, but Todd was very smart. He knew he did not want to go to war early, and a lot of guys would have gotten in a hurry there and tried to get out of the gate on top. He was out in the 2-path, and he delivered there with a nice effort.
It was definitely an exciting Little Brown Jug race. As usual, I always feel like those, you know, the best of the best come to Ohio that day, and then you get a couple of local connections as well, so we get to see horses from all jurisdictions head to the Little Brown Jug. Excited for the 80th Little Brown Jug already in 2025. I enjoyed covering the races. I know you did as well on site. We hope Paul and Acacia enjoyed another Little Brown Jug as well.
We certainly did. A really, really fun day of racing. Terrific job kind of recapping everything that took place there. Paul still has not sampled a funnel cake, so that's something we're going to work on for next year's Little Brown Jug, but, you know, we'll take care of it.
We are really in sync, because I swear I was just going to say that. I swear.
It's just something that really bothers me. I'm just going to throw that out there. Well, keeping with the theme of the Little Brown Jug, yesterday we saw a world-class driver, Yannick Gingras, honored with a special honor over at the Little Brown Jug, inducted into the Walk of Fame. More on that story after this.
An era comes to a close. But for yearling buyers, it's only the beginning. Carry it forward.
You're watching America's Day at the Races here on FS1 as we have the 8th race coming up next at Hoosier Park, the Alfonso de Rosa Memorial 1 mile pace. As we take a look at the field here, Yannick Gingras, the driver for the number 6 JK Victory, and yesterday over at the Little Brown Jug. Yannick, a 3-time jug winning driver, was selected as the 39th Little Brown Jug Wall of Fame honoree by the Delaware County Fair.
Such a great guy and such a great person for the sport.
It wasn't raining like this in Delaware, by the way. I just want to put that out. That's footage from the Hamiltonian.
Yes, yeah, that's from the Hamiltonian.
Yes,
they could have used a little rain yesterday down there. They tried to cool it down, but he went into the National Hall of Fame in 2022. 6-time leading driver at the Meadowlands, 2-time Dan Patch Driver of the Year, and last month he actually tied the record over at Harris, Philadelphia. He won 10 races in one day.
Amazing.
Yeah, so he will travel like all of these guys everywhere. So Yannick, if there's been a race, he's been there, and he's won quite a bit of them.
It was very cool in that Hamiltonian, too, seeing somebody who's been around for a while, and that celebration, that emotion, winning a race like that of that caliber, it just goes to show you that for anybody who, no matter who you are, no matter what level you're at, those big races hold so much weight.
Sure, and there's always those boxes you want to check off with your career as a rider on the thoroughbred side and a driver on the standardbred side, and he got to check that big box off that was eluding him for a while.
Well, horses on the track, that's a look at your current favorite, the 7 General Dolan, in this upcoming 8th race, this 1 mile pace. Paul, where are you landing here?
Tell me about it, Acacia.
Tell me about it.
That's the 8. Yeah, that's what I'm going to tell you about. I'm going to land on the 8 in here. Couple of wins in the Sweet Lou Series for this horse, and in the last 3 races, this horse has faced so much better horses. We're going to see Bun Doran later. We're going to see this Kit Rocks later as well. He faced Little Rocket Man 3 Stars Pack, who's a favorite later on tonight, one of the big races. So for me, I think this field is a little bit easier for him, and I think he's going to set up shop from a nice spot, middle of the pack, try and get some cover and launch late.
5-1 right now on Tell Me About It. Not as short a price on your favorite in this upcoming race. Gabe and Jessica, what are your thoughts on what appears to be a much more wide open field coming up next?
I definitely agree with Acacia there, Gabe. I think this is a bit of a more wide open field than the tote board is telling us, and they checked in a little bit with Tell Me About It. Now this is a horse that's closing in on $1 million lifetime, and for a horse that hasn't really left the state of Indiana, maybe but a few times, he's really held his own here.
He really has, Jess. He's been racing at the very top levels over here at Harris Hoosier Park for many seasons. He's 8 years old. He's a 35-time winner, and as you said, $957,000. He'll quickly be reaching that $1 million mark. And how about this? First time tonight, he picks up driver Dave Miller, the 2nd leading winning driver in the history of the sport. Dave, over $288 million. He gets the bike here for the first time. I think that's a key driver change. Tell Me About It. He's my top selection. I love the 9-2 price.
Yes, I am going to agree with you on that. I think that is a very good price on Tell Me About It. The 4, Crooked Smile, is taking some action on the tote board as well. 3-1. Tim Wilson, Jordan Ross teaming up here. Jordan Ross bursted on the scene to Hoosier Park just a few short years ago. He's quite worked his way to the top. This guy's been racing it against Open Company here.
Yeah, he really has, and he's a bit of a wild card, Jess, and I'll tell you why. He's missed a month and a half. If you watch thoroughbred racing, you're saying, so what?
Right.
You miss a month and a half. But in the sport of harness racing, we typically race every week, week to week. At least horses are going to race 3 times in a month. Maybe they even miss a week. So a month or a month and a half is an extended layoff. Sometimes they're just not quite as tight, they're not quite as fit, and they're not quite as race ready. They require a lot more regimen and training than a thoroughbred would. So Crooked Smile hasn't raced since August the 9th, and it was a total misfire. He was last, and he got beat by 27 lengths, but that's not his game. He's made over $400,000. He did have a qualifier, which would equate to a workout in the world of thoroughbred racing, and he looked very, very sharp. He was very good in that morning qualifying effort, so I think it's all systems go here. That qualifier was just 9 days back. If he fires with his fastball, he has a very big chance here for a young up-and-coming driver. That's 27-year-old Jordan Ross, who will handle the 4, Crooked Smile.
I don't know about you, but I love love when Dan Noble jumps behind a horse for the first time in quite some time, or the first time ever. That's what he's going to do behind Barry's Berries tonight.
Yeah, Steve Carter, the trainer of the 3 Barry's Berries, he trains Charlie May, who we'll see in the Harris Hoosier Park Racing Derby a little bit later on. Noble, Barry's Berries, 7-1, about half the morning line. I give him a shot to be close.
It's the Open 3, the Alfonso de Rosa Memorial. Very competitive group in here. Gabe and I both like Tell Me About It. David Miller, the Buckeye, will hop behind this guy for the first time. We'll send it up to Michael Chamberlain for the call.
7, 6, 8, and 3. Best of luck to you with your tickets.
Field is lining up for race 8. In behind the gate, co-favorites at 3-1, General Dolan and Tell Me About It. Field is on gate. They are up. General Dolan starts well, as does JK Victory. Away we go at the inside is third. And then it's Barry's Berries outside of Your Wish Is Granted. Next is Play Me Rock. After that, Crooked Smile and A Cool Moment. And the last two, as the field moves on to the turn, are Tell Me About It and Howard Hughes. They pass the quarter in 26-1. And the leader is General Dolan. Trace Tetrick has General Dolan in front, just over a length. JK Victory is second. Next and third, that's Away We Go. Your Wish Is Granted races fourth. Next comes Barry's Berries. Play Me Rock is now being joined to the outside by Crooked Smile. A Cool Moment is next, and the last two are Tell Me About It and Howard Hughes. As they come to the half-mile mark, by there in 54-2. 28-1 the second quarter, and General Dolan continues to lead. JK Victory second, then Away We Go. Your Wish Is Granted moves out now and is advancing first over, up into third, and now about to take second. And following second over out there is Crooked Smile, also moving up on the wide side. A Cool Moment. Barry's Berries is getting shuffled back. Tell Me About It is trying to move up. And the last two are Play Me Rock and Howard Hughes. Head of the stretch, headed for home. 3 quarters in 1:22-2. 28 seconds the third quarter. It's still General Dolan in front. Your Wish Is Granted in between horses. Crooked Smile on the outside. JK Victory to the inside. And then A Cool Moment tries to move up, but General Dolan is starting to give them the slip. General Dolan in front by 4 with 100 yards to go. It's General Dolan and Trace Tetrick. General Dolan, Crooked Smile, one last try, but General Dolan has won. Crooked Smile made it close. And then a 3-way photo for third. Away we go. Barry's Berries and A Cool Moment, 149-3.
Well, Gabe, General Dolan lowered his lifetime, lowered his, I guess he didn't lower his lifetime mark at all. He's got a little bit more to go. But he went gate to wire here. He's a sharp horse right now, 7 of 18 this season.
Yes, he is. And he goes for Harris Hoosier Park's leading connections. Just Tyler George, the trader, he's got a 40-win lead at the trader standings. So he's far and away the leading trader. Trace Tetrick, the perennial leading driver here at Hoosier Land as well. The veteran General Dolan, 9 years old. This was his 49th career win. So he knows his way around this track. He gets it done. The fractions were stiff. You see that half 54-2. He was at 3 quarters in 1:22-2 before crossing the line there, and 1:49-3. But he had just enough to hold off the closers. The horse we mentioned that had missed a month and a half, Crooked Smile, he put in a bold bid here late, but he came up just short there as the runner-up.
I thought it was a good bounce-back effort from A Crooked Smile. Like you had mentioned, a good dominant qualifier heading into this race. I think the one, Away We Go, held on for third there, if not fourth, but I thought that was a good effort after a miscue last time out.
Yeah, it was. He got to get away close to the action, track, sort of saved ground. He parlayed a good trip there, and he was in a close photo dead at the inside.
The all-time leading driver, Trace Tetrick, gets the job done for his main connections, Tyler George. General Dolan, 149-3. We'll send it back to the desk.
General Dolan using that speed to his advantage in a nice performance here in the 8th race. And you heard them talking about Trace Tetrick's record here at Hoosier Park. And General Dolan, the way that he set up shop in the front, got very comfortable.
Yeah, closing in on 50 wins for this guy with win 49 now. And I talked about it a little bit earlier. You know, longer stretch does not necessarily mean closers are going to come flying from all different directions. You know, they're running fast up front, or moderate splits anyway, and you're trying to keep up with them from the back of the pack or make your move from there too. So you're expanding just as much energy, and now you've got that long stretch to get by them. So General Dolan, aggressive drive, got separation, and lasted. And as they alluded to, gave and jested, I should say, Crooked Smile, much improved race from that horse. And away we go. Also, it was nice to see this horse get a piece as well from the inside.
General Dolan with the win, though, in this Alfonso de Rosa Memorial, taking them every step of the way, picking up win number 49 this year. The 9-year-old still rock solid. When we come back, we'll talk about a race honoring a recent legend, the fastest horse in harness racing, Bulldog Hanover.
In Indiana, we grow it. And when it comes to harness racing, the Indiana program has grown to become one of North America's very best. Breed Development and the ISA have been there every step of the way by overseeing and promoting the Indiana sired racing, breeding, and stakes programs at every level. We're working to ensure a right future for all of us.
We've had a wonderful breeding program here for years.
Pennsylvania has an excellent program. The proof of that is Harrisburg in November. That's a major event for Pennsylvania. We bring in some 6,000 individuals from all over the world. They want to buy Pennsylvania breds.
This is where the top stallions are. A lot of the top mares are here, and between the 3 major tracks here in Pennsylvania, it's perfect.
Pennsylvania has always been at the forefront, and we want to keep it there.
Premier Acres, located in northern Indiana, a premier breeding farm with state-of-the-art facilities and a team of dedicated caretakers. An impressive roster with some of the leading sires, including Temporal Hanover, Best in Show, Freaky Feet Pete, and more. Premier Acres, where winners are bred.
Grayson Jockey Club Research Foundation was formed in 1940 with a simple goal: to raise funds for research to enhance the health and soundness of horses. Since then, we've provided millions of dollars to hundreds of projects at universities around the world, leading to major advances in welfare. Our process of selecting and producing peer-reviewed research has become the trusted industry standard. And with your help, we'll be here for many years to come, supporting the health and wellness of all horses.
We're back on America's Day at the races as we just saw General Dolan winning the 8th race, the 9-year-old picking up yet another victory with Chase Dietrich in the bike.
You know, left hard from that post 7. And really, the only other horse that went was the horse to the inside, JK Victory, who's stopping there in second place. So hats off for an aggressive drive. And this horse was sitting on a good race and has won 2 of the last 3 coming into this race. So hats off to the team there. And this is a war horse who likes it here in Indiana.
Holding on over the late charging Crooked Smile, $6.60 winner in race 8. General Dolan with the victory as we turn the page and take a look at the 9th race, a 1-mile pace, and named the Bulldog Hanover. Currently Buzzsaw Russ, the heavy favorite, the 7 at 4-5. But we remember the fastest horse in harness racing a couple years ago when Bulldog Hanover set a record.
Bulldog Hanover, Rocky Road Hanover looks for the upset on the outside. The others giving futile chase here for minor spoils. Bulldog Hanover, the Bulldog does it again. Bulldog Hanover, Rocky Road Hanover, and then Tattoo Artist. It's Bulldog Hanover, 1:45.4. There it is, the fastest mile in harness racing history.
Bulldog Hanover off the turn with the lead, how by 3 lengths. Catch the Fire, working on a mystery. Down on the inside is Allywag Hanover, coming to the final 1/8 of a mile. It's Bulldog Hanover, the lead is 4. Working on a mystery is 2nd, Allywag Hanover is 3rd. It's Bulldog Hanover, and once again, it's a marvelous mile for Bulldog Hanover.
Just an absolutely sensational racehorse. You heard in that call of the 2022 William Houghton Memorial where he did set that record, Paul. And just here, taking a look back at the Hoosier Pacing Derby and how he decimated the field that he faced. one that really created a lot of fans and a lot of excitement around the sport of harness racing.
Yeah, we talk about the stats, and that's great. The races won and the races that, that they attack and the way they win them, but the intangibles of actually bringing people to the sport and actually introducing them to the sport and getting excited over seeing your favorite horse run every time and go out there and do their thing, that's just something you can't quantify, and that's something that's just needs to be more of in this game. And it's easy to do that in the Standardbred game because you see these horses run a little bit more often than you do the Thoroughbred counterparts. So it's easier to get those rivalries going, and it's easier to fall in love with your favorite horses.
They have a model of Bulldog Hanover when you walk into the Meadowlands. Even got my dad to take a selfie because he was excited about Bulldog Hanover, the only horse to be voted unanimous horse of the year, and his regular driver, Dexter Dunn, standing by with Jessica.
I have driver Dexter Dunn, who was the primary pilot behind Bulldog Hanover. He took you and the connections on quite the ride in his 4-year-old season.
Oh, it was a dream year with him, Jess. He was just an unbelievable horse, and I probably won't drive a horse as good as him again.
You set the world record with him, plenty of stakes record, including the Hoosier Pacing Derby. What made Bulldog Hanover Bulldog Hanover?
I mean, he could just go so fast for the whole mile. He was just a big, strong horse. He elevated himself off the track. Unbelievable. And, the night he went the track record here is probably one of his best performances when I sat behind him. He was just unbelievable. And, it was a pleasure.
Are you excited to see his babies on the track next year?
I am indeed. The reports are they're beautiful-looking babies, and hopefully they come and do a good job.
All right, you have a bucket bet Hanover in the Hoosier Pacing Derby this year. He's been a solid horse for you this season.
Had a great season, Jess. He's just missed the last start up in Canada. It was a great performance, though, and he's been racing really, really good. He's got a touch of a wide draw tonight, but he sort of can overcome that.
And a winner's bet in the Caesars Trotting Classic. Another one coming off a really game performance at Scioto. Big back half for him.
Yeah, it was a brilliant performance by Minnesota. He was out the whole mile basically in 50 and won really good. So hopefully he brings that form here tonight. It's a tough field, but he's in the right kind of form to be a competitor tonight.
Good luck.
Thank you, Jess.
Dexter Dunn, the regular driver of Bulldog Hanover. Very interesting getting a chance to hear him reflect on some of those big moments, the records, the excitement, and just as you said, the number of fans that he brought into the game as well.
Yeah, and Dexter's waiting for those babies to come out now for Bulldog Hanover. And, we were talking off camera just a minute ago, too, and when you think about how they only paid $27,000 for him, he made over $2.7 million. I mean, that was some return on investment. That horse, when you watched him on track, he had a persona. When he'd come out on track, he would puff up and he would strut his stuff. And the good ones usually do. You see them get tucked up and you see them get ready to roll. And he certainly did. And it's just really amazing and great, especially in this day and age when you see a horse that can get people into the game and into the sport and want to watch it more.
Standing now at Steelstar Farms as we'll get a chance to see his babies on the track next year, as you heard Jess mentioning. But horses coming up a little bit later on in the 12th race today in the Pacing Derby have a chance to go out and warm up. There is Dexter Dunn's Charge, a Buckabet Hanover, who was just out on the track for his early warm-up and heading back to the stable area. We'll see if Dexter can pick up another Pacing Derby victory. As we'll take a little bit of a look of what's coming up in the thoroughbred world after this. The queen, Thorpedo Anna, taking her show to Pennsylvania, back amongst fillies in the Grade 1 Cotillion, and perhaps another exciting victory to come.
It all comes down to the Breeders' Crown on Friday, October 25th and Saturday, October 26th at the Meadowlands Racetrack. The $6.6 million Breeders' Crown has 12 championship races over 2 days. Friday night highlights the top 2-year-old trotters and pacers. Saturday features 4 divisions for the top 3-year-olds and 4 races for the world's best open trotters and pacers. Post time both nights, 6:20 p.m. October 26th also has a free handicapping contest with a $10,000 prize pool. Details at playmeadowlands.com. Must be 18 or older to wager. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
You're watching America's Day at the races as we have the Bulldog Hanover coming up next. You know that you're good when you have a race named after you.
Yeah, that's like the top honor, right? That's like an elite moment. I bet you he's very proud of that right now, actually, where he is.
As he should be. We'll meet the field for the Bulldog Hanover, starting off with the one Rip Wheeler.
Had to come from last time. Didn't work out against a few of these. Got a much better post tonight to work things out.
Drawn to the inside, 7-1 on the board right now. There's the two big price on big wheels.
You know, Wired the field 2 starts back, kind of did it nicely. Pockets did it behind American Classic, who drew off last time. I kind of liked this horse at a price underneath.
I like it. Big price on the board right now. American Classic coming up next, 8-1.
Got the separation that needed last time out before wrapping it up over big wheels. I think they're going to do the same tonight.
Here's Fox Valley Landon, another price horse.
Yeah, been running well on the fair circuit. Nothing wrong with that. I think this feels a little bit tougher. We'll see.
Coming in good form, get tested for class this evening. There is This Kit Rocks.
Yeah, has exchanged decisions with the rail horse. That pocket never came off the pylons. Got that win last time.
The 6 is out. There's your favorite, Buzzsaw Russ.
You know, got that perfect inside trip. Be second in the Ewart last time. A deserved favorite here.
Musketeer Hanover, 5-2, a contender.
Yeah, those running aces races took care of business over there. 3 straight second-place finishes. Logical here. Just that seconditis, though, is getting a little bit leery on my part.
And El Rey to the outside.
You know, just 2 for 13 on the year, but gets away from some of those big-name horses he's been facing in tougher fields. Post's not ideal, but maybe you work something out now from post 8 with the scratch.
You see, It's My Show, a buck about Hanover in the running lines. He's obviously faced some good company. That's the field for it. The Bulldog Hanover. Quickly, your pick?
I'm going to go with Buzzsaw Russ in here. I just feel at the end of the day that this horse was well beaten by Little Rocket Man in the Ewart, but too bad he ran into Desperate Man and Rock and Roll Runa, both really good horses. This field is easier in some ways for him, but I'm still going to look underneath using the 2 underneath at 22-1, but for me, it's about the 7.
I like it, getting some prices underneath. We'll see how it plays out in the Bulldog Hanover as we bring in Gabe and Jess. Guys, first of all, I want to get an opportunity to reflect back on Bulldog Hanover, the horse for you. I know you have gotten a chance to cover him many times throughout his career, and always exciting when you have a race named in honor of horses that you remember so fondly from their time on the track.
Yeah, it's so awesome that Hoosier Park was able to name a nice field of horses going behind the gate in this open after Bulldog Hanover. And like Acacia alluded to, we were both lucky enough to cover a lot of his races in his career. I was there the night that he broke the world record, and I instantly had goosebumps. It was like the crowd was roaring, and then it was silent.
The fastest harness horse that has ever lived, Jess. That's a pretty bold statement. 145 and 4. He was the first horse ever to break the 146 barrier. I'll tell you another stat here. 2022, he was the first ever unanimous harness horse of the year. In the harness racing media, we're like all the sports media guys. We don't agree on anything, but everyone agreed Bulldog Hanover was the horse of the year.
And you know what was also really cool about Bulldog, Gabe, was I had a chance to kind of travel with him from track to track and cover the events. And no matter what race Bulldog was in, which it was usually towards the end of the car, the fans stayed from start to finish just to see him on the track. And I thought that was so cool. His race up at Woodbine Mohawk Park, it was freezing cold out in the Breeders' Crown. They were 10 deep cheering for him. I just thought it was amazing.
Yeah, he was a horse, the people's horse, so to speak, and everyone knew they were witnessing something special.
All right, let's talk about this race a bit here. We both like Buzzsaw Russ. It was a really good trip he had from post 10 in the Jim Ewart at Scioto Downs. A miscue in the Batavia race, but he doesn't usually do that, so we'll throw that effort out. We saw him here in the Dan Patch race very well. Dead heated for second there with Coach Stefanos.
Yeah, he had the Dan Patch one, Jesse. He opened up to a 5-length win. That was the last time we did a broadcast from Hoosier Park, but unfortunately, he just got a little short on the end of it. Duncan got by late and pulled off the upset. Here's the key. I am going to try to beat Buzzsaw Russ in this race. I used him second, but they tried to enter tonight in the Harris Hoosier Park Pacing Derby. However, the restrictions on that race, it goes by career earnings on who gets in. Unfortunately for Buzzsaw Russ, his career earnings, $680,000, pretty good. Well, it's not as good as the field there in the Hoosier Park Pacing Derby a bit later, so his earnings didn't add up. So he drops here to a comfortable level. Good group, $30,000 on the line here, but he was a runner-up at his last start in the Jim Ewart Memorial over at Souder Downs. That was with $250,000 in the line. He had all sorts of traffic trouble, Jess. He didn't get free there to the final 16th of a mile. By that time, Little Rocket Man had gotten away, but he finished second behind Little Rocket Man, and that's the favorite in the big dance tonight.
You're going to try and beat him here with the 8 Musketeer Hanover. Now, actually, my sister Jenna told me that they entered in the Jim Ewart, wasn't able to get in due to, the conditions there. He just got beat by Nashing Hill in the Open, 48-4, 28-1. This guy's super sharp. 7 wins from 27 starts, 13 seconds.
Yeah, I thought Buzzsaw Russ was probably going to just take all the money. So, I was between the 7 and 8. I thought the 8 would be the better price. Typically, when that's the case, I'll always try and go with the better price. A lot of Bulldog Hanover comparables here, Jess. Dexter Dunn, Bulldog's driver. Well, he's in the bike on Musketeer Hanover here for the first time. But how about his career? He's a 4-year-old. He's a son of Sweet Lou. At 2 and 3, that's when you see horses make the bulk of their money. There's plenty of young stakes action on the card there where they can really add up some earnings. Well, he only made $97,000. Pretty good, but not great. However, this year, he's been first or second in 20 of 27. He's blossomed as a 4-year-old, just as Bulldog Hanover did in his career. He's made nearly $200,000 already at the age of 4. And the key thing about that is the biggest race he's won was for $50,000. So it's not like he's knocked that money off in some big money. He's just grinded and grinded. He's already, again, raced 27 times. I think he's well spotted tonight, and we're going to see. He's got a tough rival in Buzzsaw Russ, but I think he can get the job done here possibly. Right now, just click down to 5-2. I'd like to see at least that or perhaps 3-1.
You know, another one who's got a lot of back class, over $500,000 in the bank. That's the 9 El Rey. Andrew Harris, Todd McCarthy already have a win earlier on the card with Vogish coming off of a second-place finish down in Lexington in the Kentucky Sire Stakes. Look who beat him. It's my show. He just won the Canadian Pacing Derby, and we'll see him later on in the Hoosier Park Pacing Derby.
Yeah, that's right. You can't hold that loss to El Rey against him. Typically, early speed is his weapon of choice. So he's going to start from that outside post, but I think he's got a good enough early turn of foot to get out of the gate if Todd McCarthy chooses to do so. Of course, Todd, who won the Little Brown Jug, we saw that yesterday. El Rey was here to Hoosier Park on Dan Patch Night, their other signature race. That was back in early August. Raced okay, missed a check there. The top 5 finishers always get paid. He was 6th, so a little bit of a bad break there, but he was only beaten a couple of lengths. So this is a lesser spot for him as well, just against open company, the Bulldog Hanover. But El Rey, I think, will likely try and lead the gate and get himself a good seat.
I'm going to throw a long shot at you. Fox Valley Landed for Kyle and Amy Hughes said post 4, co-fastest Illinois bred, 47-4 at the State Fair in DuQuoin last time out. They thought enough of this guy to put him in the graduate, leg 1 up at Woodbine Mohawk Park.
He's a fast horse, and here's the key thing, Jess. He is arriving in razor-sharp form. I wouldn't blame anyone for taking a swing. He's 16-1 there from post 4. He ripped off 3 consecutive wins in a row, but I just think it's a much tougher task tonight against some really good and classy horses here in the Bulldog Hanover. I think he's up against it here at a pretty good price.
All right, Will, the even money favorite, Buzzsaw Russ, get the job done in here. It's the Bulldog Hanover Open, scratched onto a field of 8. Of course, remembering the fastest harness horse ever, Bulldog Hanover, here in race 9. Michael Chamberlain will have your call.
Lining up in behind the gate. Even money on Buzzsaw Russ. They are off. El Rey started well behind the gate, and moving out for the lead is This Kit Rocks. This Kit Rocks in the center, goes up to take over. Rip Wheeler is at the inside, and then American Classic is next, third. After that, Buzzsaw Russ and Musketeer Hanover, they're caught up on the outside a little as the field goes on to that first turn. And on that first turn, the leader is This Kit Rocks and Joey Putnam through a quarter of 26-2. Next comes Rip Wheeler, and Rip Wheeler goes to the outside and is going to move up and take the lead, but Buzzsaw Russ is right behind Rip Wheeler on the outside and is moving up into second. Also there, Musketeer Hanover, and then to the inside is American Classic. Fox Valley Landon's third over up the backstretch, and then racing next is Big Wheels with El Rey, the trailer. They're at the half mile, passing there in 53-4, 27-2 second quarter, and Buzzsaw Russ now has the lead. Musketeer Hanover is up on the outside second. Rip Wheeler third. Fox Valley Landon is second over fourth. And now moving to the outside is This Kit Rocks. This Kit Rocks is going to be third over on the second turn. El Rey is going very wide moving through the turn. Going on a break is American Classic. And then Big Wheels. They are now at the top of the stretch. Buzzsaw Russ is the leader with 3/4 up in 1:21 and 2. Buzzsaw Russ with that advantage. Rip Wheeler on the inside, Musketeer Hanover on the outside, and then Fox Valley Landon is fourth. El Rey on the far outside tries to move up. Final eighth of a mile, Buzzsaw Russ. Here's Musketeer Hanover on the outside. Buzzsaw Russ and Musketeer Hanover. Musketeer Hanover has taken the lead in deep stretch, and Musketeer Hanover gives Dexter Dunn a hat trick. Rip Wheeler in a photo with Buzzsaw Russ for second, then Fox Valley Landon in 1:48 and 3.
1:48 and 3. That's a new lifetime mark for Musketeer Hanover. How fitting Dexter Dunn gets the job done in the Bulldog Hanover.
Yeah, of course, that could be the case, Jess, but how big of an effort did Musketeer Hanover just put in? We talked about it earlier. When you're on the outside that entire way, that's not how Dexter drew it up. You know, he would like to get a spot tracked for a little bit, but he had to rough it up there on the outside. Eventually, he got uncovered where he was even taking all that air. Once Buzzsaw Russ cleared the lead, the favorite down at the inside, but he continued to come at him. He wore him down the late stages. This was a huge effort. I think this is a horse that's really going to step up and be on the national stakes scene very soon. A very talented set of Sweet Lou. Buzzsaw Russ is a very good horse, and he wore him down with ease. Here's the second choice at 5-2. Unfortunately for El Rey, the horse we mentioned from the outside post with early speed, he missed the gate. Jess, not sure what happened there. Tough to leave, and you're about 6 lengths off at the start.
Yeah, not a great start there, unfortunately for him. But, you know, just to go back to Musketeer Hanover, I really am impressed by the way he covers the ground and just how he carries his speed.
Yeah, really impressive. Not many horses can take that type of air, that much of a tough trip there on the outside, and get their feelings hurt that much, so to speak, and just continue to come at him. That tells you how gutsy he is, and he wasn't just chasing down anybody here. Again, Buzzsaw Russ, he had made $200,000 this year. He's one of the top 4-year-olds in the state of Indiana. And he's a very good horse, but Musketeer Hanover stole the show here at the Bulldog Hanover with all that early action. It might have been our least purse race of the night here on the broadcast. You would have thought they were racing for $1 million. They went at it from start to finish.
Plenty of action there up front for it to set up. For Musketeer Hanover, Dexter Dunn, Wayne Oak. New lifetime mark here for Musketeer Hanover. We'll send it back to you guys.
And a hat trick for Dexter Dunn, who, as Jess mentioned, we had a chance to hear from him before the race and talking about his relationship with Bulldog Hanover. Pretty fitting that he wins at the race, named in honor of the fastest harness horse to race.
Yeah, I think he'll be happy with that. I think he'll be happy with the performance of this horse, because this horse did not get an ideal trip at all at the end of the day.
Kind of a wild race with a lot of movement going on.
Yeah, I mean, and they went 53-4 to the half. So, I mean, they were moving along out there on the front end. And Buzzsaw Russ, to his credit, I mean, went to the top in there knowing that he was probably the best horse in there and tried to get a little bit of separation, but just couldn't shake Musketeer Hanover, who ended up being first over all the way around and gets the job done under a big moon at Hoosier Park.
Big move indeed. Musketeer Hanover gets the victory in the Bulldog Hanover at 5-2. But there is Charlie May. Ears up, ready and waiting for the Pacing Derby still to come. He's been right there this year. Can he break through with a big one tonight?
Join us Friday, October 11th at Harrah's Hoosier Park for Indiana's premier night of harness racing. 12 championship races, $1.2 million in purse money, and the title of Indiana's best on the line. Along with an evening of thrills, speed, and glory, guests can enjoy contests, giveaways, food trucks, and much more. Not to mention cornhole and other outdoor activities. First post for the Hoosier Champions card is 6:15 p.m.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime, with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Alaraj Farms, more than 3 decades of trendsetting and modern trotting. The birthplace of millionaires Fern, Muscles Marinara, Whiskey Tax, and Dewey Color in the Line. Alaraj Farms is home to broodmares such as Ice Attraction, Lucky Ava, Non-Stick, and 7 Times a Lady. Check out their lineup of 21 yearlings by sires such as Muscle Hill, Walner, Chimpanzee, Chapter 7, and the first crop of Captain Corey's selling this fall in Lexington. Find them online at alarajfarm.com or on Facebook.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
You're watching America's Day at the Races as we take a look at Periculum warming up out on the track right now in preparation for the Caesars Trotting Classic still to come. Paul, for those maybe not familiar, talk a little bit about the timing for the warm-ups for these horses. We're not going to see them just on the track right before the race. They also have a chance to come out earlier.
Yeah, they'll score a couple hours before their scheduled race, and they'll just take a tour of the track, and some will score a little bit harder than others. It's like if you're, running a little bit faster or jogging in its case. But then after they're done with that, what they'll do is they'll go back, they will get into their stall, and they will just wait their turn for their race and come out.
In the Bulldog Hanover, it was Musketeer Hanover. Not the case where we talked about earlier with a horse getting a perfect trip. A certainly less than perfect trip for this winner who was able to run down Buzzsaw Russ.
Yeah, spent a lot of time on the outside, which is not the place you want to be sometimes, especially in standardbred racing, taking in all that air, especially having to be first over as well. But to this horse's credit and Dexter Dunn's credit, did not rush this horse, let this horse kind of take him there and grind it down Buzzsaw Russ at the end of the day. So a good race for Musketeer Hanover.
And Rip Wheeler at 10-1, checking in second there. Your favorite Buzzsaw Russ settling for third. $7.20 winner in race number 9, the Bulldog Hanover. As we mentioned, on the thoroughbred side, coming up this weekend, you have the Grade 1 Cotillion and the Grade 1 Pennsylvania Derby over at Parks. Our America's Best Racing race of the week, though, is the Grade 1 Cotillion, and that's in large part because it features Thorpedo Anna, who has been the queen of the 3-year-old filly division, even when taking on the boys in the Travers this summer and finishing a gallant second. She's created so many fans along the way. But did you ever wonder why she's called the Thorpedo? Well, there's always a story behind the name, and for a very fast filly, she's named after a very fast young lady.
I swim year-round, and I have been swimming since I was 5 years old. My coach, he started calling me Thorpedo because Ian Thorpe, who was a famous swimmer, had the same last name, and they called him Thorpedo, so he thought it was a good idea to call me Thorpedo too.
Ryan Hernandez and Thorpedo Anna dominate the 150th Kentucky Oaks.
I knew Kenny was at the sale, so I called him up and said, Kenny, you got any horses that you bought today? And he said, I've got 20% of a fast Anna filly. And so I said, Anna, I can work with that. I said, I'll take her if I can name her. And he thought for all of about half a second and said, okay. And so then I tossed it to Anna and said, you got to come up with a name. And she mulled around with it for a few weeks and said, I can't come up with anything, you name her. Her mother thought it should be Anna's Attitude.
She never told me that.
Yeah. I said, well, why don't we go with Thorpedo Anna? I like that one better.
But it's Thorpedo Anna. She is simply brilliant.
It's much more fun watching Anna swim. You know, I have a more of a vested interest in her, but it's more lucrative when Thorpedo Anna wins.
It's a good part of it.
Yeah, it is a good part of it.
I'm like pretty excited for most of the day up until about like 30 minutes before I start to get really nervous and my stomach starts to hurt, and I don't know, I just get really nervous, and I don't know why, because I always know that she's going to win, but still get nervous for it.
But I'm like her, I'm always confident when she runs, but it's a horse race. I mean, you know, you don't know what's going to happen. And some other horse might step up his game that day. But yeah, I'm always nervous but confident.
But it's all Thorpedo Anna. The leader of the division is simply spectacular.
I never expected that it would go this far. I think it's really cool, like just to be a part of it is cool, and then to watch her run and win by how much she wins by.
Yeah, it's been great. Exceeded every expectation I ever had when I started doing this stuff. I wouldn't say it's a dream come true, but it doesn't suck.
To learn a little bit of the story behind the name, the connections behind the filly, Thorpedo Anna. I got a chance to interview Anna Thorpe this summer in Saratoga, and it was so fun getting a chance to kind of follow her along while Thorpedo Anna was running. And I mean, she has just been so impressive. Perhaps, though, waiting in the wings will be Power Squeeze, who won the Alabama. But as far as Thorpedo Anna is concerned, she certainly did not disgrace herself, finishing second behind Fierceness in that Grade 1 Travers against the boys.
And it's funny because when you look at her, you know, at 2, I mean, she was a good horse at 2. I mean, she just had that one race in the Goldenrod that you're like, oh, maybe, you know, something, whatever. But she came back with a vengeance as a 3-year-old, and she's been so good. So happy for the connection. So happy for Brian Hernandez Jr. And it's funny because I was reading where Brian Hernandez Jr. said, you know, she is now like the queen. She is the superstar. And people forget that he also wrote the Derby winner, too.
I know. Pretty incredible year for Brian.
They don't ask about it anymore. They just ask about her every time that he gets asked questions.
Well, this is what she's done this year.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy to understand why she gets all the attention. 3 Grade 1 wins, including the Kentucky Oaks, taking the Acorn and Coaching Club American Oaks, and then going on to face the boys. And, you know, Kenny McPeak said this summer, and he announced on our show that she was going to take on the boys instead of going into the Alabama against the fillies. And he said, I think it's good for racing. And I genuinely think that it was great for racing. And it's not every day, Paul, that you see a race that's really hyped up and it exceeds your expectation. But that's what happened in the Travers this year.
Yeah, the buzz around it was absolutely amazing. And when you think about it, just because of the venue itself being Saratoga and just the history of the Travers, well, I mean, when you put that all together and you have a horse like Thorpedo Anna, I mean, that was just great for business around, you know, all around. And the way she ran great, too. And she could have won that race. I mean, let's be honest. You know, she could have won that race in there. So I'm looking forward to seeing her run this weekend. And I think they're up against it. Now, you never know. You got to run the races anyway. But if she runs back to any of her last few races, she's going to be a handful in there.
She did not go into the Alabama. The horse that won the Alabama is Power Squeeze, who's in good form. She will have to take on Thorpedo Anna, though, who dusted her the last time they met. Back over to Harris Hoosier Park tonight. We do have the 10th race coming up next. It's the Carl Becker Memorial, as we'll meet the field, starting off with Lion Eyes for this 1 mile pace.
She's a nice little filly, too. She drives well. She's handy. She just needs to snag a win, though, against End of an Era, because she hasn't been able to do that yet.
Has some speed as well. There is the 2 All JK.
0 for 12 this year. She does have 6 runner-up finishes. I'd be surprised if she got her first win here, but I wouldn't talk you off using her underneath.
She is a generous price, at least. There is the 3 Jada Caroline.
It's funny. She's kind of been on the outside of the big 3 that have been running in this division. She's not a bad horse at all. She just hasn't figured out how to beat them yet.
There's your favorite. Let's go end of a era.
Sire Stakes champ at 2. Keeps the party going at 3, 7 for 8 this year.
Tilatini coming up next, the 5.
Won back in June, leg 3 of this series. It's fun watching all these horses battle all summer long like they do in this series.
Big price on the 6, Tells Rock and Roll.
Be a big price in this group should be. Finished 4th in the Elim, won by Tilatini last time.
It's a fun name to say, isn't it? Talk about big price. There's another one. Surprise Me Went.
Yeah, just 1 for 13 this year. Got the job done back, but it was 2 back, but it was against much lesser competition.
Some more long shots towards the outside. That theme continues with Galley's Image.
Yeah, a couple of second place finishes, the last 3, but still a couple of the main players in here.
There's a 9, Plays in the Shade.
Recent starts haven't been that good against some in here. Now gets the far outside draw, so probably just going to take back in here, and if she's got 1 run, do it late.
And Flirtin' Fanera.
Flirt and Finera, you know, it's an interesting horse starting from the second tier. I know this horse is a big price, dead heated with Gadley's Image a few starts back in the leg of this series. It's been a struggle, though, against horses like JK Endivanera and Tiolatini. So we'll see what this horse can do at a big price from the second tier.
That's the field for the Carl Becker Memorial, the 3-year-old fillies, 1 mile pace. And as you mentioned, it is kind of the big three. And you can see it on the tote board right now. Are you going with one of them? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I know. You know, sometimes it's hard to just go against a horse that's going well. And I'm just going to end up on Let's Go End of an Era in here. 7 for 8 on the year this year. And I thought it's been finishing off those miles well. You look at the final quarters, 26 and 2, 26 and 3, 25 and 4 last time out. Been running those 149 and 4s in here. I wouldn't be shocked if a horse like Lion Eyes or Tiolatini takes it to her tonight, because those are the ones that have been battling in here. But for me, I'm just going to go with the horse who's found the wire quite a bit recently, and that is the 4.
6-5 right now. She's been in good form. As Gabe and Jess, as far as these 3-year-old fillies are concerned, just as we were saying, the tote board telling us it's kind of a 3-horse race in here. What are your thoughts for these fillies coming up?
I agree. Well, on the 3-horse filly race in here, the big 3, as Paul mentioned, I think it's hard to go against the homebred for the DeLongs here. Let's Go End of an Era. You know, riding a 5-race win streak gave the only, you know, board missed effort here with 6 starts ago, where she finished 4th. Just wasn't her day. She seems like a pretty handy filly.
Yeah, she is, and it is a true family affair, Jess. As you mentioned, a homebred, John DeLong, one of the top drivers here based at Hoosier Park. He's in the bike. His wife, Tabitha, trains, owned by some of his family members. She's been the queen of Indiana. She's a 3-year-old filly, 7 of 8 this year. I will mention her lone loss was to the 5 Tiolatini. That was back in late June, so it's been quite some time. Over $500,000 for the 3-year-old filly. She's the one to beat. We'll concede to that, but an awfully short price up there right now, 3-5.
Clearly, there's nothing wrong with drivers like Trace Tetrick, Pete Wren, John DeLong. But when you pick up Dexter Dunn for the first time, Tiolatini here, like Tiolatini will do here, coming off of a very good win in her elimination, 26 and 4, sprinted away from the field. She's a nice price at 5-2.
You know, she is, and as horse players, we're always looking for a change of variables, maybe that could change a horse's performance, Jess, particularly here on the Standardbred side, because we see them race week in and week out. We get to know these horses awfully well, so we're looking for anything that could change their performance. Well, we had a barn change last time with the 5 Tiolatini. She moved over to the top trainer on the grounds here at Hoosier Park, Tyler George. He's a leading trainer by far by wins, by far by percentage. She responded to that barn change. That was a big effort. She comes off a win there by 2 lengths. I previously mentioned she's the only horse this year to beat the 4 Let's Go End of an Era. That's the only time she's gotten the best ever. She's lost to her a few times as well. But again, second start here for the new barn. As you mentioned, she picks up the best driver in the world, for that matter, Dexter Dunn here in the bike. So, you know, could she be poised to turn the tables on one of her big rivals here? She's a nice filly in her own right. She's made over $350,000. We'll see if that barn change continues to keep her going in the right direction.
The father-son team of Lion Eyes, of course, Joey and Joe Putnam, post 1. Now, she set up the fractions for Let's Go End of an Era last time out. She hasn't missed a board this season. I think that speaks volume.
Yeah, she's been ultra consistent, but her main nemesis has been Let's Go End of an Era. She'd like to dodge her from time to time. She's lost to her at each of her last 3 starts and 4 of her last 5 starts. So if she could just get away from the 4, she'd be an even better filly. But as you mentioned, she's made over $300,000. She's tried to beat the 4 in front of her. She's tried to come from behind her to beat her. She just hasn't been able to get the job done, but she's a good filly. She's up there at 4-1. I think that's a little short of the wind in. I think she's proven over and over that she just can't turn the tables on the favorite here, but I do think she'll get away close. She's got good early speed. Joey Putnam's done a great job at the bike. I think she'll be somewhere close to the finish, but it would shock me if she stepped up and got the job done.
One of the up-and-coming drivers on the Hoosier Park circuit is Marvin Luna. He'll sit behind the Irv Miller horse here, filly by Tell It Like It Is. Of course, Irv, one of the top trainers in all of harness racing. This is a very solid horse as well. Couldn't quite get to Let's Go End of an Era and Lion Eyes last time out. She's had 2 wins from 10 starts.
Yeah, and she's been on the board 8 of those 10 tries, Jess. I still think a little bit of a fringe player in terms of a win, and that's why you see that double-digit price up there on the 3, Jada Caroline. She likes to just tow along, draft along down at the inside, and I think she is a player here for a minor slice of it, maybe 3rd or 4th, but she's really really going to have to step her game up to a level we haven't seen to contend for the top spot.
This race is named for Carl Becker, of course, 3-year-old filly is Indiana sired. It's a Carl Becker Memorial, and, you know, he just loved harness racing.
Carl Becker, one of the legends of the sport. He was the voice of the Grand Circuit in harness racing, just what it was booming back in the 80s, called one of the most famous time trials of all time, the Great Niatros at the Red Mile, when he was the first horse ever to break the 150 barrier. That seems crazy now. They're going to break it here in this race with 3-year-old fillies. But Carl was a great gentleman. He was a pedigree reader, and his legacy lives on in the sport. We remember him right here. His son, Kurt Becker, one of the most famous voices in all of horse racing. He's the track announcer at Keeneland. He also calls some of the Illinois harness racing fairs. Probably a little better known, though, for his work at Keeneland. Kurt's a great guy, and we're happy to honor his father here with the Carl Becker Memorial.
Carl Becker Memorial, 3-year-old fillies on the pace. Indiana sired, field of 10, 4-5 on the 4. Let's go. End of an era for the home team here. Homebred for the DeLongs. Tabby DeLong with her husband, John DeLong, in the bike. Michael Chamberlain has the call of race 10.
Field is on gate. They are up. Away well, Jada Caroline. Let's go end of the era right there, too. Lion Eyes at the inside, and T. Latini moves up to make it 4 in the battle for the early lead. Flirtin' Finera is up into 5th, and then comes All JK. Tells Rock and Roll is racing next, and in behind that is Surprise Me Went. Galley's Image and Plays in the Shade are the last two through a quarter mile of 26 and 4. Going on to the back stretch, and the leader is Let's Go End of Era. The favorite is in front on the back stretch, and Jada Caroline is racing second. Next third, that's Lion Eyes. T. Latini has got the 4th spot, and then after that is Flirtin' Finera. Next is All JK, and moving up on the outside, here comes Galley's Image. Galley's Image trying to get up into contention. Also on the wide side is Plays in the Shade. Then Tells Rock and Roll is to the inside, and the trailer is Surprise Me Went. Half mile, 56 and 3, and they're moving to the second turn. Let's Go End of an Era is the leader. Jada Caroline is second. T. Latini is moving right up now third. Advancing first over, about to take second position from Jada Caroline. Lion Eyes is 4th, Flirtin' Finera 5th, and then after that comes Galley's Image and All JK. The field moves into the stretch following 3 quarters in 1:24 and 4, and T. Latini has taken the lead. Let's Go End of the Era battles right back to the inside of her, and Jada Caroline is third. Trying to move through at the pylons is Lion Eyes. Final 1/8 of a mile, Let's Go End of the Era and T. Latini. Flirtin' Finera's on the outside trying to move up. Let's Go End of the Era turned away the challenge of T. Latini, and Let's Go End of the Era is the winner. T. Latini was second, then Lion Eyes and Flirtin' Finera in 1:51 and 1.
1:51 and 1 for Let's Go End of an Era. Gabe, she fought off the closing of T. Latini. Game effort. I almost thought T. Latini was going to get by her there.
Yeah, but, just pace makes the race, as we say. When Let's Go End of an Era made the top here, you see 26 and 4, pretty quick opening quarter, but 56 and 3. She went a 29 and 4 second quarter there, so that meant she had plenty left in the tank. She was going to be a tough target because she has plenty to sprint home, and that was a challenge for T. Latini. She got to sit a long way, but she had to come battle a fresh Let's Go End of an Era. That's how these races work sometimes, because you have a big favorite here in Let's Go End of an Era. No one really wants to be the first to engage. That's typically, mission impossible. So everyone wants to sit as long as they can to attack, a nice filly here. Obviously, T. Latini was just forced eventually to try and rush up and challenge her. She got even, but again, with plenty left in the tank before Let's Go End of an Era was able to fight her off. T. Latini, game effort in defeat. She was the runner-up at the other filly we talked about, Lion Eyes. She did her usual. She towed along there at the inside, finished third with a 10. Flirtin' Finera rounding out the superfecta fourth. 4-5-1-10. No surprises here. The big favorites go 1, 2, 3.
You know what I liked about Let's Go End of an Era there, Gabe, is she was moving her ears around there after John kind of popped the plugs, and then she pinned him when she heard that filly coming up on the outside. It really dug in. I really like to see that in young horses.
Yeah, she's a gutsy filly. I mean, there's no question about it. She's as dead game as they get, and when they dropped the gloves, she knew it was time to roll. So 8 of 9 now on the year, 13 of 19 overall. And as we mentioned, really a family affair here, guys. John DeLong, the driver, his wife back Tabitha the Trader, and the DeLongs, the owners of the Let's Go Innovator as well.
Also owners of Tilatini. So 1-2 punch for the DeLongs in the Carl Becker Memorial. We'll send it back to you guys.
A big celebration for the family and a well-deserved Let's Go end of an era at 2-5 with the win. And really, as they mentioned, repelling all challenges, a game effort for a filly who has been very impressive so far.
Yeah, and a little change of tactics tonight. It's been a while since she's been going, to the top. She's usually sitting second and then making that rush to the top. Today they went to the top, and it's funny, Lying Eyes really didn't leave too hard from there. It's actually Jada Caroline who left. So Lion Eyes tried something different. It didn't work. Still couldn't beat JK. Let's Go end of an era, excuse me. And at the end of the day, even going a little bit fast early, a little soft half, still had enough to kick away. And Tilatini ran a bang-up race because that was a first over rush that the horse made to try and get up there. And the class show, though, on Let's Go end of an era. Nice run.
Certainly, nice performance from the top two finishers. We talked about it beforehand as a three-horse race, I should say, and they delivered. But by the missile, standing in the wings and waiting to get back to the winner's circle at Hoosier later on.
Sharton, a repeater in the Lady Liberty in 1:46.4, a world record performance. It doesn't get any better than that.
It's still Temporal Hanover. Temporal Hanover will take the field by 3 parts of a length.
Lion Sentinel wins off a ground-saving trip in the She's a Great Lady, and she has set the stakes, track, and Canadian record tonight.
Chosen winners, breeding champions.
You're watching America's Day at the Races. Our live coverage may be from Indiana, but Paul and I are here in New York City's racetrack at Aqueduct, and there's a live look. I don't know, actually, is it live? Who's driving the blimp right now? That would be the question. But a look at the evening sight over at Times Square as we just saw a Let's Go end of an era from the Carl Becker Memorial.
Yeah, and it makes it 8 for 9 this year. And I mean, right here, you would think Tilatini would probably launch on by, but no. She had back class and she was dead game, and she was able to pull away again in the end under John DeLong. Now running that career earnings to well over $500,000. It'll be interesting to see if they're going to have an answer for her as they keep going through the year with these Sire Stakes rounds and these Sire Stakes series that they've been running, because she's put together some resume already.
2-5 for the win, $2.80 victory for the DeLongs, as mentioned. Connections of Tilatini as well. So a nice exacta there in the Carl Becker Memorial. The Jenna's Beach Boy coming up next, a 1 mile pace for the 3-year-old Colts and Geldings, and Sabonis currently 1-5 right now. Joey Putnam, the driver, standing by with Jess.
I have driver Joey Putnam, who sits behind a horse by the name of Sabonis. Now, Joey, you sat behind this guy last year at the age of 2. He's been very good this year at the age of 3. Did you know last year what kind of horse he was going to be?
No, I didn't. He was just a green colt. He raced very good, got home nice for us, but he soared up and the connections turned him out. And, that was kind of the end, hoping we had a nice 3-year-old. And so far, he's just exceeded everybody's expectations.
Yes, he has. And we were talking a little bit earlier on. You won the Milstein with him from well off the pace, but the fraction's set up for you. But this guy has plenty of speed and enough tools to be a really nice horse.
Yeah, that race in particular, they were racing hard, and it worked out really nice to stay out of the heat. But he can do it from wherever, on the front, remove to the front, off the pace, everything. He's been put to the test. He's handled very well.
And this is a long Hoosier Park stretch. I think that's a little bit to your advantage in here in the Jenna's Beach Boy.
Yeah, we got a couple outsiders coming in tonight, and then the rest are, the same group we've been racing against. We got a home team advantage, so we'll just see how it goes.
What would it mean to you to win a Grand Circuit event at your home track?
Oh, anytime winning on a big night's really fun, so hopefully we can get it done.
We wish you the best of luck.
Yep, thank you.
Joey Putnam, driver of Sabonis, currently the heavy favorite, as we'll take a look at a recent effort from him in which he was 1-9. This is a horse that has been in tremendous form this year, 14 for 15 in 2024.
Razor hot, got the separation that this horse needed from this field in the race we're looking at here, and opened up about 5-6 lengths on the group. Then was geared down late by Joey Putnam. So the closers, it kind of was a little bit of an illusion with some of these horses that were closing in late because Joey had him geared down. And I think tonight it's going to be an interesting battle with the hometown horse and a couple of the horses that are shipping in for this race.
Absolutely, as this is the Jenna's Beach Boy coming up. Jenna's Beach Boy, a 3-time Breeders' Crown winner and world champion, passed back in 2015, but a tremendous horse.
Yeah, tremendous horse. Another horse that a lot of people were drawn to when the horse would run and winning all those Breeders' Crown races and just other races too, other big races. So yeah, I love, we talked about this earlier, how they get their recognition and their names out there with these races, and we're able to talk about them as well, because that's what it's all about, at the end of the day, is big names, big horses, big races, and that's what we want to see out there. And also everybody coming home safe as well.
Absolutely, and a successful stallion as well. I thought it was pretty incredible. His progeny earning over $72.4 million on the track. Still to come, though, the Caesars Trotting Classic. Some big races in the lineup. Stay with us on America's Day at the Races.
And they're off.
We've had a wonderful breeding program here for years.
Pennsylvania has an excellent program. The proof of that is Harrisburg in November. That's a major event for Pennsylvania. We bring in some 6,000 individuals from all over the world. They want to buy Pennsylvania breds.
This is where the top stallions are. A lot of the top mares are here, and between the 3 major tracks here in Pennsylvania, it's perfect.
Pennsylvania has always been at the forefront, and we want to keep it there.
Why do the most successful owners, breeders, and horsemen select the Green Group as their tax advisor? We simply save them money. Over the past 40 years, founder Leonard Green has owned and bred some of the best racehorses in the history of the sport. His hands-on industry knowledge, combined with cutting-edge tax-saving strategies, has produced positive results for his clientele and has made the Green Group the top-rated accounting and tax firm in the business. For a confidential and complimentary consultation, contact us at 732-634-5100 or visit our website at www.greenco.com. The Green Group, proven strategies to save you taxes.
You're watching live coverage tonight on America's Day at the Races, but we still have some exciting harness racing coverage to come over the next couple months, including the Breeders' Crown. As they say, it all comes down to the Breeders' Crown. Will take place at the Meadowlands October 25th and 26th.
34 days away. You know what I love about this? First of all, the 2-year-olds get their own night on Friday. They're racing for $700,000 for all 4 races, so it's the richest races for 2-year-olds that are out there. And then when you combine that with the events that are going to happen Saturday, with all of the racing on Saturday, we're talking purses total for the 2 days estimated at $7 million. So all the stars are going to come out to play, and all the connections will be there, hoping to get their names in history and win a Breeders' Crown.
There's a lot more that comes with the Breeders' Crown, though, including the Breeders' Crown Charity Challenge, back for its 6th year. Our own Jessica Otten, part of it. Just tell us a little bit about the Breeders' Crown Charity Challenge.
Well, and Marvin Katz came up with this idea about 6 or 7 years ago, and they've raised over $1.5 million for local charities where the Breeders' Crown is hosted, whether it's here at Harrah's Hoosier Park, at the Meadowlands, or at Woodbine Mohawk Park. The racetracks and the company involved with the Breeders' Crown have, kind of handpicked charities that are local to the racetrack. I think that's so awesome. And then they go on a bit of a challenge, I guess you can say, as we call it, the Breeders' Crown Charity Challenge. Every year it's something different. This year we've picked 4 elements to the Breeders' Crown Charity Challenge teams. There's a driver, trainer, owner, and influencer, as you see on your screen. It's myself, my sister Jenna Otten, and 2 very good friends of ours, Mary McDermott and Donnell Mock on the influencer side. So make sure you follow us on social media as we are promoting our teams with our drivers David Miller, Dexter Dunn, Yannick Gingras, and of course Tim Tetrick. And we all have trainers and owners as well. The 4 charities involved this year are the Friends of Union County. They are behind Team Dunn. Team Tetrick is for Encouraged Kids. Team Miller is New Jersey YMCA, and Team Gingras is the SBH Health System of the Bronx. Now, there are a lot of different elements that go into this Breeders' Crown Charity Challenge. We have a foot race, we have a double-seated jog cart race, we have a couple of events that everybody needs to show up to. But each and every day, you can vote for your favorite team. You have to head to playmeadowlands.com, click on the event tab, go all the way down to the Breeders' Crown Charity Challenge, and I'll make it easy enough for you guys. The first one is Team Dunn, and that's my team. So we need a few extra points on our side. So maybe everybody watching tonight can just vote for Team Dunn as we get closer. This will run through October 19th, the voting and a couple of other things. It's a lot of fun to do it with the drivers that we get to work with week in and week out. And of course, it's all for great causes, like I had mentioned. So awesome to have 4 local charities involved this year. So Team Tetrick, Team Dunn, Team Miller, and Team Gingras are going head-to-head for this year's Breeders' Crown Charity Challenge, hosted by the Meadowlands. Like you had mentioned, we'll be covering action on all 4 days, the eliminations and the finals. Let's go Team Dunn. Right, Acacia?
That's right, Jess. Best of luck. Certainly will be casting my votes tonight. And be sure to head on over to Play Meadowlands. Check out, as Jess mentioned, the worthy causes that the Breeders' Crown Charity Challenge will be supporting this year. We're going to meet the field, though, starting things off here in the Jenna's Beach. Boy, we saw Skyway Masterpiece go by. There's sudden impact, Paul.
Making the rounds in Pennsylvania. Just had some success. I like the way he beat Vengeance Blue Chip last time out. So keep an eye on this horse tonight.
Big price on Noblesville, trying to turn things around.
Yeah, just 1 for 11 this season. Hasn't done much damage against these kind lately.
MMS Bud coming up next.
Good news, he's got a few wins that show he can compete. The bad news is he hasn't been able to beat Sabonis or Tell Me It Matters yet.
Second to Sabonis last time out, and there he is, your heavy favorite. We just heard from Joey Putnam.
Yeah, he's got a great post tonight, too. I mean, he's going to be tough in here. It should be a good matchup with a horse drawn outside of him in the 8 who's shipping in.
He's 1-2 right now, a short price, as that is the 7 Prestigious Prince. Guess we're going to him next.
Yeah, the last few trips here just haven't been good. He's had some better efforts at Scioto against Lesser.
Howland the Hills coming up next.
I like this horse a little bit. He's done solid work against New York Sire Stakes horses this year.
Howland the Hills, I should say. Stat that. Big price.
Finally got a win 2 back at a big price beating Dahlia. He's been hitting the board this year, just hasn't beaten Sabonis, but who has?
And there's this horse, I really wanted to say his name, Dahlia.
Oh, yeah. He hasn't found a way to beat Sabonis either, but he picks up checks. So, I mean, he's there. I don't hold that loss against him because he just got stuck behind dead cover.
So these horses have not been successful in trying to beat Sabonis. Are you going to try and beat Sabonis?
No, I'm going to end up going with Sabonis in here to it. And it's just, he's just had a great year here, and it's his hometown advantage. They only paid $9,000 for him, and he's only made a shade less than $400,000 now at this point, too. But the horse we're looking at on the screen, just a point about Howland in the Hills, he broke from post 8 at Yonkers last time and bottomed out that field, and his stablemate Hunting for Chrome, who ran in the Jug yesterday, tried to give him a challenge on the backside. He put him away and finished off that mile nice. So we'll see how he takes to the big track tonight against Sabonis.
There's your favorite, though, Gabe and Jessica Sabonis. A very short price and pretty fun to get a chance to see a horse who has just been an absolute model of consistency.
Yes, he has, and he's been a monster as well, Gabe. We had a chance to watch him win the Milstein at Northfield Park about a month or so ago. You're going to try to beat him in here with Howland in the Hills. Hot barn in the horse, the sport of harness racing, Travis Alexander right now. I want your thoughts, though. I know he's won at Vernon. I know he's won at Tioga Downs. Mainly a half-mile horse. He's going to have to face this long Hoosier Park stretch.
He is, and it's going to be the first time he's been on a stretch quite this big. But something's got to give here, Jess. We've got 2 horses on long winning streaks. Of course, Sabonis, 11 in a row overall. Howland the Hills, 6 in a row. The last time Howland the Hills lost, my top choice here from Post 8, that was on June 28th up in the Messenger at Yonkers. That's a leg of the Pacing Triple Crown. And he'd be a second there and behind a stablemate, Sweet Beach Life. So he's been very, very sharp. Their story's very similar. They were both had lackluster 2-year-old seasons. The 8 Howland the Hills, 0 for 8, made $36,000. And then all of a sudden this year he's back. He's 12 of 13 with over $500,000. I just thought the 5 with a home court advantage was going to be a little overbet, similar to early. I just think the value here lies the 8 Howland at the Hills right now 5-2.
You know what I like about this race too, Gabe, is, obviously Sabonis is coming off a really, long winning streak, Howland the Hills as well. I talked to Joey a little bit earlier on with the interview and then a bit off camera, and he goes, I just haven't had a chance to put him directly on point on the front. I've had to wait for everything to settle before I moved him to the front. He thinks this guy can go gate to wire.
Well, we'll see, because his only loss, Jess, he was a 1-9 favorite in a non-winners of 2 just overnight race here this year. He got away from the gate very poorly. He got away last there. He was and ended up as the runner-up. That's his only loss, but he's just been so good. This horse can do it either way. He's only left the state of Indiana 1 time. That was to go over near Cleveland there in Northfield Park at the Milstein, as you mentioned earlier, where he rallied by rivals and he got it done. So he just has passed nearly every test. As Paul said, he was just a $9,000 yearling. Well, he made $9,200 as a 2-year-old. He was just 1 for 2. They turned him out, I guess, after getting their money back. As Joey said earlier in that interview, they just wanted to have a nice 3-year-old, but guess what? They've got one. 11 in a row, 14 of 15 overall, and nearly $400,000 now here at the age of 3. So these long winning streaks with a 5 or 8, again, something has to give.
You like a long shot, sudden impact. Hall of Fame driver Tim Tetrick in the bike for Scott D. Domenico. Now he's coming off of a win against Overnight Company. We see a couple of Pennsylvania Sire Stakes action on his card, but mainly against Overnight Company.
Yeah, I think just once you get past the 2 favorites in this field, Jess, it really opens up. I just decided to try another invader. He comes from the East Coast there, the 2 sudden impact. Goes for a good barn here, Scott D. Domenico. He does come off a sharp win, as you said, but he's going to realize the water is much deeper here in Stakes Company against the Jenna's Beach Boy. He hasn't seen the likes of the 2 favorites here, I don't think, at any point in his career.
David Miller will sit behind Stat that for the first time. That's going to be a positive.
Yeah, what a 2 in here for trader Susan Miller. He's got the outside post novice Stat that. My concern was off a scratched sick, last time went in to go. Not sure what was going on there. There was a stakes event, so you would have to think it was pretty bad. They decided to take him out sick of that. So they might race him a little conservatively from the outside post, but I thought he could pick up some of the pieces possibly and spice up our exotics late.
I do want to give a shout out to MM's bud. Joey Putnam did say this one's been breathing down his neck, so I want to keep an eye out for him. He's taking a little bit of action on the tote board as well. The Jenna's Beach Boy, 3-year-old Colton Geldings on the pace, 115,000. Sabonis looking to make it 12 in a row. Michael Chamberlain has your call.
Field is on gate. They are up. And a good beginning for MM's Bud. Right to the outside is Sabonis, and Noblesville comes away third. Howlin' the Hills moves up on the outside fourth, and then it's Sudden Impact. Skyway Masterpiece is inside of Dale Yeah, then Prestigious Prince, and the early trailer is Stat That. On the first turn, and Sabonis takes over, passing the quarter in 26-2, but Howlin' the Hills is going to go up, and Howlin' the Hills has taken the lead. Sabonis is back to second. Next in third is MM's Bud. Noblesville is racing fourth. And then comes Sudden Impact right behind that. Another link back to Skyway Masterpiece, then Dale Yeah, with Prestigious Prince, and the trailer is Stat That as they hit the half in 55-2. The second quarter, 29 seconds. Howlin' the Hills leads the way onto the second turn. Heavy favorite Sabonis is in the pocket second. MM's Bud third, Noblesville fourth. Up on the outside comes Dale Yeah, and then Sudden Impact. Also advancing wide, here comes Skyway Masterpiece, and Stat That and Prestigious Prince are the last two. Howlin' the Hills, a length in front. MM's Bud right to the outside of Sabonis. 3/4, 124. Off the turn, Howlin' the Hills with the lead. Sabonis is desperate for some racing room. MM's Bud, Dale Yeah on the outside is coming on late. Final eighth of a mile, Howlin' the Hills. Sabonis finally has room to the inside. MM's Bud on the outside, and Dale Yeah, they're coming down to the finish. Sabonis and Howlin' the Hills. Sabonis makes it a dynamic dozen. 12 wins in a row. Sabonis the winner. Howlin' the Hills was second, and then MM's Bud in 150-1.
150-1, Gabe. 12 in a row for Sabonis. You let Howlin' Hills go there during that second quarter. Set the pocket trip. He needed room, and he got it late in the mile.
Stretcher at Hoosier Park, as you can see from the replay, it opens up the final 16th of a mile for that very reason. You see horses that are caught at the inside. The pylons actually open up about 6 feet there to the inside to give room for horses to get through at the inside. That's what Sabonis utilized there. He did get the best of the trips, Jess. It was a game effort on the front from Howlin' the Hills, but ultimately he falls in defeat here to the hometown hero. And really no excuse for the 8. I know that it was a very good horse on his back, but he got a very nice breather in that third quarter, 28-3. So off 3/4 and 124, he was very well rated. And we do see an inquiry, guys, come up on the board right now. The judges are going to take a look here at the winner, Sabonis. Possibly did he try and get to the inside a little early? They're looking at a pylon violation here, so we've got a little bit of intrigue left.
Gabe, thank you. We'll keep an eye on that inquiry there as Sabonis does get the victory here, Paul. But as you heard Gabe and Jessica discussing, waiting for room, and he did kind of muscle his way out there. We'll take a look, and I think you can kind of see things a bit more on that head-on shot there in the front stretch right there, knocking some of those pylons as Gabe was mentioning, and trying desperately to find that racing room late in the stretch.
Yeah, he hit one pylon and then he went inside another. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do here. I'm waiting to see this again from the front side, because you can see here he's on the inside, he's behind the leader of the race. So right there on the head-on, you see he hits the pylon and then he was inside another. So it's going to be an interesting decision for the judges here to see if he did create a pylon violation and if he's going to be dropped out of his position where he is. Again, for going inside of the course to gain an advantage. It took a while for that to open up for him too. And Joey Putnam kind of had him in a jackpot there, and Howlin' the Hills didn't really drift out and give him room, which he doesn't have to do. So again, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, if there is a pylon violation or not.
So the judge is taking a look at the order of finish here in the Jenna's Beach Boys. Sabonis, I think no matter what the decision ends up being here, with the way that this horse finished, once he finally was able to get in the clear, it's very easy to say he was the best horse in the race.
Yeah, by far, he was the best horse in the race. Although, again, you can't take nothing away from the second place finisher. He did what he tried to do at Yonkers last time out, which was bottom out of field, got to the top, got that breather, and tried to kick away. And they have left him up, I guess. They're putting a blanket on him.
Left him up, no change there in the Jenna's Beach Boy Sabonis, making it 12 wins in a row. Now extending his 2024 victories to 15 for 16. Picks up the Jenna's Beach Boy. More on the results and reactions after this on America's Day at the Races.
Countless individuals have contributed to the success that has made Brittany one of the world's great standardbred farms. Partners, owners, trainers, drivers, and caretakers, and everyone at the farm who works to achieve the same goal: breeding and raising champions. It's been an amazing journey, and we couldn't have traveled in better company.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races. I'm Gabe Pruitt. I'm standing by with wedding driver Joey Putnam of Sabonis. And Joey, he was raging through the stretch. It almost looked like he didn't want to wait until that stretch opened up. He was ready to go.
Yeah, he's used to having a clear runway for turning for home. And tonight I decided to sit in because that horse has been racing really good. But he was feeling it, and but everything was good.
Did you have any concern when that inquiry got lit up that maybe you did commit an infraction?
No, I just hit one pylon, so I wasn't too nervous.
And that's a nice colt that was in front of you there. He really gunned him down with ease once he did find a way through.
Yeah, super nice horse. I wasn't sure, but I was pretty confident in mine, and I didn't have to really ask for much when I got through.
Trip worked out well. You followed the one I'm sure you wanted to follow as the race panned out.
Yeah, no, the trip went just about how I thought, and the horse was awesome.
Talk to us about the ride this horse has taken you on this year. Now, 12 in a row. He's been phenomenal each and every week. It has to be a pleasure to sit in the bike behind him each time.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. You know, the horse last year showed a little bit of talent, but got injured. And then this year, it's just he's exceeded everyone's expectations. So it's been a thrill.
Congratulations, Joey. Best of luck moving forward with Sabonis. 26-year-old Joey Putnam makes it 12 in a row. Sabonis, guys, 15 of 16 here in 2024.
He's been so impressive and so consistent. Gabe, thank you. Sabonis picking up another one for driver Joey Putnam, $2.40 winner as he gets the victory at 1-5.
Yeah, it goes over $400,000 now in career earnings. Only paid $9,000 for this guy, so a bargain when you look at it now in retrospect.
Well, it's time for one of the big ones, the Harris Hoosier Pacing Derby coming up next here in the 12th 1-mile pace. And taking a look at the field right now, a bit more of a wide open group. What are your thoughts on the odds?
I think they'll change a little bit. I think eventually, at the end of the day, I think a Buck Bet Hanover may end up being the favorite in here over Little Rocket Man. We'll find out and see. I'm going to lean more with my man Scotty Z, and It's My Show, but we'll see how it plays out.
How about Coach Stefanos? 20-1 on the morning line. He was 7-2 right now. I know it's a bit early.
Yeah, I know. It's a little early, and he took quite a bit of money, actually. So I don't know what that's about. We'll find out as the money comes in, because you got to go back about 5 starts ago to find a win for him.
Well, somebody looks cool, calm, and collected. That's a Little Rocket Man, though. He is a 5-2 on the morning line and taking all the attention early as to be expected. 10 for 13 in 2024. Once again, a model of consistency.
Yeah, and not only a model of consistency this year, but a model of consistency the last couple of years when you look at a horse like that. And that's what you want to see. You know, you're looking at horses that year in and year out, you know, it's hard enough to do it week in and week out, month in and month out, let alone year in and year out. He's put together 27 wins in the last 2 years.
Just amazing. The 8-year-old Little Rocket Man, David Miller, going to be in the bike as he's currently the favorite going into the Pacing Derby. And we'll see if he can pick up another one. He's getting ready for the big action. He's not fazed by it. He's been here, been there, done that now at the age of 8. This is old hat. We'll get a chance to see him and some other equine stars coming up in the Pacing Derby after this on America's Day at the Races.
It all comes down to the Breeders' Crown on Friday, October 25th and Saturday, October 26th at the Meadowlands Racetrack. The $6.6 million Breeders' Crown has 12 championship races over 2 days. Friday night highlights the top 2-year-old Trotters and Pacers. Saturday features 4 divisions for the top 3-year-olds and 4 races for the world's best open Trotters and Pacers. Post time both nights, 6:20 p.m. October 26th also has a free handicapping contest with a $10,000 prize pool. Details at playmeadowlands.com. Must be 18 or older to wager. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
In Indiana, we grow it. And when it comes to harness racing, the Indiana program has grown to become one of North America's very best. Breed Development and the ISA have been there every step of the way by overseeing and promoting the Indiana sired racing, breeding, and stakes programs at every level. We're working to ensure a right future for all of us.
You have to be here to feel the rumble from 40,000 race fans. Mixed with the Pacific breeze, you have to be here to taste extravagance and witness greatness race after race after race. You have to be here to witness unforgettable and to believe the unbelievable. This November, be at Del Mar for an experience that's truly a breed apart.
Premier Acres, located in northern Indiana, a premier breeding farm with state-of-the-art facilities and a team of dedicated caretakers. An impressive roster with some of the leading sires, including Temporal Hanover, Best in Show, Freaky Feet Pete, and more. Premier Acres, where winners are bred.
You're watching America's Day at the Races as we have the Pacing Derby coming up next. A super competitive field for 4-year-olds and older in this 1-mile pace. One of the highlights of the evening. But first, let's head over to Gabe Pruitt with a special guest.
And standing by here with Joe Morris, Senior Vice President of Racing Operations at Caesars Entertainment. Joe, one of your signature nights here at Hoosier Park. Of course, we've got the Caesars Trotting Classic, the Hoosier Park Pacing Derby, right here at your first class facility.
Well, we're always excited to have this time of year in our championship meet. We had Dan Patch a month ago, and now we're into This night we had the Houghton and the Doherty last week, so it's a fun time of year here when we get to showcase the place with top horses and the top drivers in the country.
And we've got a packed house, but you guys are doing even more improvements. I see on the track apron to make it even more fan-friendly experience.
Well, we have a fan-friendly area there called the Hop, and it's an outdoor area, and instead of just having the plain old apron, we've got pergolas, and we've got some grass laid down on it, special seating, and different fan and family fun events.
And you've got 5 Caesars properties overall, so you just opened a brand new thoroughbred track in the state of Nebraska.
The newest track in America. Took it from a cornfield to a 1-mile thoroughbred race. It's the only 1-mile thoroughbred track in Nebraska, and we just had our inaugural meet and had a very successful meet with it. So.
Is there any truth to the rumor I'm hearing? The favorite tonight, the Hoosier Park Pacing Derby, the 12th race, Little Rocket Man, he's made over $1.4 million. I understand you personally have jockeyed that horse?
Well, every now and then I need my horse fix. So when I'm up here at Hoosier, I go to the barn where Little Rocket Man is, and I, in fact, am a catch jogger for him. And he's such a neat little horse and real fun to jog.
Guys, the beauty of the standardbred sport. Joe Morris, he's been at the bike even behind Little Rocket Man. Of course, he'll be the favorite at tonight's Hoosier Park Pacing Derby.
He's got the magic touch. I love that, Gabe. Thank you so much. Great to hear from Joe as he's associated with the current favorite 5-2 Little Rocket Man. We talked about his consistency there. The driver's getting ready, moments away from the Pacing Derby.
Yeah, and when you look at a horse like Little Rocket Man, I mean, he's the winningest horse in the field, and he probably should be favored in here, and he won the Battle of Lake Erie, he's won the Jim Ewart this year. He had a little time off this summer. Not really the worst for wear, as you can tell by the race we're going to show here. I mean, he basically bottomed out this field here, and he's just such a cool, hard-knocking horse, and who doesn't love to see that? And as we've said before, it's just his body of work over the years, and he's just been doing it consistently, and he's a horse who loves his work. And you can see it by the way he runs and the way he finishes off his miles.
It's so true. He has early speed. We saw him coming from off of it a bit last time out as well. He has some versatility. Certainly a very worthy favorite in this spot.
Yeah, and then you could do pretty much anything you want with him. You can put him on the front end. You can take him mid-pack, and he's going to give you an honest effort more times than not.
Well, he's not the only honest horse in the field, though. There's a lot of consistency and a lot of wins amongst this group, a very accomplished field setting up.
And it's great when you can see all of these horses still come together, that battle in all of these big races, because, sometimes you see these horses start their seasons late or they have to race themselves into form. But not here. You're seeing winners of previous big pacing races, the Jug and the Meadowlands Pace, and they're all coming together in this field. So it's really great when you get all the superstars to come out and play.
Speaking of the Little Brown Jug, last year's winner, It's My Show, also in this field. As I mentioned, one of those horses that does have quite a few wins to his name. He's younger, certainly, than Little Rocket Man, who's 8. It's My Show, a 4-year-old, coming in here now. And always exciting to see horses that win those big races as 3-year-olds come back as 4-year-olds and continue that momentum and continue on with what they're showing on the track.
Yeah, and keep their form up and also be able to stay healthy to be on track as well. And in this race, I mean, credit goes a little bit to Scotty Zeron in here because he found room, came up the inside, and man, if you had a buck up at Hanover, this was a brutal beat in here because he did a lot of the dirty work heading towards the 3/4 and turning for home. And actually, there's Scotty right there, I think. I do believe
a buck up at Hanover, a very honest horse as well.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And I think, when you look at this race, there's a lot of different ways that you can go. So, if you're the local type and you're for the local horse and you're into Little Rocket Man, you're probably going to have to take a short price on him, but there's some other directions you can go and you can catch a nice price in here, I think.
And there is It's My Show getting ready to head out. A little bit of a live look behind the scenes of what it's like before they hit the track.
Yeah, and that's always a cool thing, too, when you get to see them get their tack on and get the bike put on as well, and you see what goes into it to get them out there, and you see how It's My Show is just nice and calm. Just giving him a few pets on his nose. Yeah, getting some scratches. And, he's a horse that is sharp now, and he's raced his way back into shape. And, with Scotty Zeron aboard, who's been the money man the last year and change, and all these big races, he always finds a way to get the job done. He found a way to do it last time, and I'm hoping he finds a way to get it done tonight. And right now, he's second choice on the board.
7-2 on It's My Show, who's been in good form. A little bit of that rivalry with the Buckabet Hanover. They've each beaten each other a few times out on the track, as there is the field for this year's Harris Hoosier Pacing Derby, getting ready to assemble for this 12th race here, 1 mile pace. And as far as It's My Show does go for trainer Linda Toscano, we saw that last year with the Jug, winning both the Little Brown Jug and the Jugette as well. And she's done a terrific job with this horse, getting to keep his form, as you mentioned.
Yeah, she does a terrific job all around. You know, she wins at about 18-20%. And I love this shot because it just shows you how calm the horses are right now, too. You can see that they're just moseying on out slowly. Drivers are with them. It's really a great shot to get you inside of the action to see what's going on.
And if you're a horse person, and maybe you've been around harness racing and thoroughbred racing, it's definitely different. Thoroughbreds are typically much more energetic. Some of them are like this, and that's their personality.
Yeah.
But typically, you're going to see them more on the toes. They're going to be moving constantly. They're not going to be standing like you'll see with Standardbreds right here before their big race.
Right. As we talked about earlier about scoring horses down early, if you really look on your left quick, you'll see race number 10, number 4. So after that horse scored, that horse went in to that spot, the number 4 horse for the 10th race, and they'll stand there and wait until it's their time to assemble and get their tack on and head on out to the track. So that's where they go, and they just stand and chill out, and they have somebody there with them to make sure everything is all right, and then they go about their business, come back out on track.
Often so laid back. A lot of these Standardbreds just have such an amazing demeanor, incredible horses to be around, but they know when it's game time as well and when to turn it on as horses stepping out onto the track for this year's Pacing Derby. 3-2 now on Little Rocket Man. We talked about his consistency and just how good he has been on the track, and now a heavier favorite. We'll get a chance to meet the rest of the field, though. Talk a little bit more about some of the ones we have not touched on in our post-parade momentarily here. Again, one of the features coming up next in this 12th race, as they have a field of 10 getting ready to line up, starting things off with Duncan on the inside.
I could go for one. I can go for a donut.
I'm usually more of a Starbucks fan myself, but I love a good Dunkin' Donut.
$7,000, by the way, for this horse. Over $650,000 now. So won the Dan Patch. Sprung that upset there. So got the Dan Patch winner in here as well, breaking from the rail tonight.
As we said, plenty of accomplished horses in this field, including Duncan, like you said, with that big win. Here's It's My Show, who we were just discussing, last year's Little Brown Jug winner.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's good to see this horse race his way back into form, you know, and it got him back to races like we saw him win the Jug.
Why not now? A big price? I guess that is the question, right?
Yeah, he's going to be a big price, though, no matter which way you cut it and slice it. But he has won Indiana Stakes races, Sire Stakes races.
Coach Stefano, is he still taking quite a bit of attention down from that 20-1 morning line?
Yeah, taking some sneaky money. He's gone back up. He does have some early positional speed in here, so I think that's why he's getting a bunch of play right now.
Your favorite, and rightfully so, the 8-year-old Little Rocket Man.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in his own backyard and 10 for 13 this year, he's a well-deserved favorite. I mean, he's already won the Battle of Lake Erie and the Jim Ewart this year.
Here's the elder statesman of the field, though, Backstreet Shadow, the 9-year-old.
He was a supplemental entry into this race, so he should have won 2 back. He didn't. He's got to find a way to get the job done against some of the bigger horses. That
Charlie May is one of those horses that's often right there, just not a lot of wins.
I love Charlie. He can pop up on a big night at any time. You know, we've seen that before. 11-1 tonight if you like him.
And a Buckabet Hanover rematching with It's My Show.
Yeah, you know, we showed the big effort in the Canadian Pacing Derby. He's going to be right there tonight. He's got to work out a trip from that wider draw, though.
By the Missile up next, I think might have gone by, but certainly he's worth a mention, former champion.
Yeah, he won a Breeders' Crown race at this track last year, so he's got to break from post 9, though, and find a way to do it.
We saw there's I Did It My Way will be on the second tier.
Yeah, second tier tonight. Winning streak was snapped last time, so it's tough against these guys, you know. When you get all of these big-name horses together, somebody's got to be a price. He's going to be one of them tonight.
Well, Paul, now it's time for your pick. I think the big question a lot of people want to know, because you've picked him a lot of times on these shows, are you going with Charlie May?
I feel bad that I signed like the divorce papers tonight.
No.
And watch, he'll win at 11-1. I gave him out at $63 last year. And I gave him tonight. I'm just going to go with It's My Show tonight. I just like the draw for this horse. I really liked the race last time out, and I just feel that he's got that sharpness back. He's raced his way back into shape. you know, Scotty's, he knows him, knows when to make that move with him. He almost looks like the horse of last year to me now, and he's a pretty square price at 4-1. So I'm hoping for him to just get the job done from off the pace tonight.
The Pacing Derby coming up next for Gabe and Jessica, 7-5 on Little Rocket Man. But as we discussed, plenty of accomplished horses in this competitive field.
Yeah, they definitely put together a really nice field here, Gabe. Lots to dive into in this edition of the Harris Hoosier Park Pacing Derby. First and foremost, the horse that gets the start from the rail was the upset winner in the Dan Patch, Duncan.
Duncan, yeah, 20-1, Jess. That was his last win, but he shocked us all the last time he was in town. Interestingly enough, Tim Teeger got to not come drive him that night. He thought he was in a bit over his head. He didn't make that mistake tonight. He's in the bike here on Duncan there from the inside. You know, he's going to need a little luck, as he had in that Dan Patch earlier, but if he can stay close, maybe he can shake loose late.
We both love Little Rocket Man on top. How could you not? That performance he put up in the Jim Ewart was a very dominant performance. He's a hometown horse here for Ken Rucker, Russell Beeman, and company there. David Miller jumped behind him last time out. 10 wins from 13 starts. He had a little bit of a break, like I had mentioned, so I feel like he's got fresh legs.
Yeah, and this is a good field, as we know. Combined earnings here over $14 million, Jess, for the field of Ted. It's going to be one of the rare times I'm on the favorite. I do like Little Rocket Man. He'd raced 110 times. Well, Dave Miller jumped the bike for the first time last time at the Jim Ewart Memorial over at Souder Downs. That was a winning effort. The connection said, you know, that worked well. Dave can continue with the drive tonight. He has a nice mid-pack post here, too. You know, even money against a good field. One could argue that is a little short, but I'm just going to have to tee him up here. This is his home base. He trains out of Hoosier Park, one of the only horses in the field that can say that. So I think that gives him the ultra advantage.
He was fourth in last year's edition of the Hoosier Park Pacing Derby. Do want to give a shout-out to his primary driver, Jeremy Smith, who was in a bit of an incident at Scioto, but he's done a really nice job sitting behind the horse. And, of course, David Miller won in 2013 with Pet Rock, in 2016 with Always Be Mickey. So he's looking to get his third Hoosier Park Pacing Derby. Another horse we both like, that's It's My Show. He's on the board right now at 9-2. He was a Little Brown Jug winner from last year. People may know him, and Linda Toscano teamed up to take the Jug and the Jughead. He's coming off a really good win at Lexington and a solid win in the Canadian Pacing Derby. When I was watching that race, Gabe, I was like, Scotty, you're going to pull?
We just saw the replay back. I wasn't even sure that he won.
No,
he
me either.
Snuck through at the inside. But, yeah, Jess, he made over $1 million in that 3-year-old season last year. But it was a tough transition for the two It's My Show at the age of 4. He started off just 1 for 10. But since that point, he's won 2 in a row. The race we saw back there at the Canadian Pacing Derby. It went down to Lexington, won a stakes race as well. So I'm like Paul. I think this could be the It's My Show from last year. The good news is still holding at 5-1 with all that money still flowing on the favorite, Little Rocket Man.
A buck up at Hanover has won half of his starts this season, $1.6 million in his career earnings. That's who It's My Show gunned down last time out in the Canadian Pacing Derby. Dexter Dunn has won this event twice in 2020 when this is the plan. 2022 with, of course, Bulldog Hanover, a stakes and track record. Post 8. But, Gabe, one thing I really like about this guy is we've seen him pointed towards the front end, but in his younger years, he raced from off the pace, so plenty of versatility.
Yeah, and he's typically been coming from off the pace of late. My concern is just you aren't going to find any friends if you float off the gate. So if you leave from post 8, you're almost certainly going to have to make it a speed mission towards the front. I'm just not sure that that's what Dexter wants to do. If he takes back, that puts you in a tough spot as well because you've got post 8, post 10 starts in the second tier, so you could be far back here if you just take off the gate. That's a little bit of a difficult decision, but there's one thing about it. That's why Dexter Dunn is the 4th-time consecutive driver of the year. He'll work out a plan for Bunkabad Hanover. He is in very good form, but he's a horse, I think, that would like to find a trip if he could do so.
I'm going to pick your brain on By the Missile. Of course, had a little bit of off time there after the Battle of Lake Erie. Qualified good. I even thought that effort in the Ewart Memorial was good. Yannick won in 2015 with Foiled Again, 2018 with Lazarus, 2019 with This Is the Plan. By the Missile, of course, was last year's Dan Patch Award winner and 2022 Little Brown Jug champ. He's got post 9, but if the race sets up, we know he's got the class.
He does, but the race set up for him last time in the Ewart, and he was 4th beaten 3, but they went a torrid pace. You thought the closers would have been set up there. He just raced okay. He's only had 3 starts this year. He's yet to hit the board. He's got that outside post tonight, again with the 10 starting the second tier. He's in post 9. I just think it's a little bit tough, and he's 8-1, so I'm going to try to swing against him.
There we have it. That is the field for the Harris Hoosier Park Pacing Derby. Little Rocket Man, the hometown horse, as the favorite. favorite, Michael Chamberlain, has the call.
Field is on gate. They are up. Good beginning for Coach Stefanos. Little Rocket Man to the outside. It's My Show to the inside. And here comes a Buck a Bet Hanover and By the Missile from the far outside. It is Coach Stefanos who is in front going to the first turn. Not where he usually is, but Coach Stefanos is the leader early on. Moving next in second, It's My Show. A Buck a Bet Hanover up on the outside third. Little Rocket Man is racing fourth. By the Missile to the outside of Duncan, the Dan Patch winner. Then Backstreet Shadow, I Did It My Way is eighth. And the last two are Charlie May and Why Not Now. Opening quarter was 26-2. And they now move on the back stretch. And moving up is a Buck a Bet Hanover to take the lead. Coach Stefanos now back second. Little Rocket Man comes out. And here comes Little Rocket Man, first over already, moving right up to challenge a Buck a Bet Hanover as they are just outside the half-mile pole. That half is up in 54-2, a second quarter of 28 seconds, and the favorite, Little Rocket Man, has now taken the lead as the field enters the second turn. A Buck a Bet Hanover, Backstreet Shadow at big odds is right there third. Coach Stefanos to the inside. By the Missile is second over. Third over out there are Why Not Now and Charlie Mays, three wide through the turn. Down at the inside is It's My Show, and the last two are Duncan and I Did It My Way. Three quarters, 121-3. They're off the turn. Little Rocket Man in front, but there's plenty of pressure behind. Backstreet Shadow, By the Missile on the far outside. A Buck a Bet Hanover needs room to the inside, as does Coach Stefanos. It's Little Rocket Man, By the Missile on the outside. A Buck a Bet Hanover to the inside. Little Rocket Man trying to withstand all these challenges. Little Rocket Man is still there. Little Rocket Man has won the Pacing Derby with a tremendous effort in 1:48-1. Right there also were a Buck a Bet Hanover and By the Missile.
Well, Gabe, they put up a nice first quarter there. Then maybe tap the brakes there in the second quarter. 54-2, 28 seconds up the backside. That's when Purple decided to move his way to the front. I think it was a winning move.
No question about that. He had a Buck a Bet Hanover who we had said, would have to march onto the lead if he did lead. That's what happened. So Little Rocket Man, I think his hand got forced early there. He didn't want to have to come first up there and battle him at the outside. So he thought if he could sort of blitz to the top, that would be the winning move. Indeed, it was, Jess. He had to stave off a two-pronged attack through the stretch as he had a fresh Buck a Bet Hanover on his back. And what a good effort here from By the Missile, who was second over there. He was following cover. He routed off that cover. He finished very close as well. But Little Rocket Man, you talk about a gutsy little guy here. 11-14 this year. 65th career win for the 8-year-old. With tonight's bounty on top, he goes well over $1.54 million. He's just one of the sharpest horses in the sport right now.
He sure is, and the winner's circle is piling in with people. He was contested that whole time throughout the mile. Gabe, he had a long shot forcing him on the outside. He fought off By the Missile to the outside and a Buck a Bet Hanover to the inside. Gutsy performance. Little Rocket Man, David Miller, Ken Rucker take the Hoosier Park Pacing Derby 148-1.
An incredibly game performance from Little Rocket Man, the 8-year-old, picking up another victory. As you could even hear in the call, Paul, he had horses coming at him from everywhere, but really digging in. A lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, Dave Miller had to make that move to pull out, and he did, and he was able to hold on with this horse. And I got to tell you, By the Missile actually impressed me in this race because he was hung out side more than even a Buck a Bet Hanover was, because the Buck a Bet Hanover marched his way to the top eventually. So it was a good effort for a horse By the Missile who looked a little flat off the layoff last time, but the winner was just the best horse and gutsy tonight.
For Little Rocket Man, who's been razor sharp recently and does so again tonight, picking up a big one here in the Pacing Derby. Little Rocket Man, incredibly game, showing all that start down to the wire. When we come back, we'll take a check-in on the top Standardbreds. It's week 14 at the Hamiltonian Society Breeders' Crown Poll. Where does the 3-year-old Carl stand?
Join us Friday, October 11th at Harrah's Hoosier Park for Indiana's premier night of harness racing. 12 championship races, $1.2 million in purse money, and the title of Indiana's best on the line. Along with an evening of thrills, speed, and glory, guests can enjoy contests, giveaways, food trucks, and much more. Not to mention cornhole and other outdoor activities. First post for the Hoosier Champions card is 6:15 p.m.
We're back on America's Day at the Races as Little Rocket Man makes his way to the winner's circle following the Harris Hoosier Park Pacing Derby. The consistent 8-year-old picking up another one, and a pretty excited winner's circle there too as we head down to Gabe.
You aren't kidding, Acacia. We're standing by here with the ownership here, Russell Beeman and Jack Boomer Freeman, as he goes by here. They are the owners of the Little Rocket Man, who just picked up another nice win here, over $1.5 million. Boomer, is he as sharp now as he's ever been in his entire life?
I don't know if he's ever been as good as he is right now. He's phenomenal. He's never been bad, but he's pretty good right now.
Right when you think he's done it all, he just continues to do more and more.
Yeah, I don't know what more you can ask from him. He's been amazing.
Russell, how's the ride been with Little Rocket Man, an 8-year-old now? You guys have owned him since a yearling.
Yep, he's great. He's a very intelligent horse.
Now, between the two of you, I got to know who went and picked him out for $18,000. Now we are $1.5 million later. Whose decision was that?
Well, he told me he was too little, but I went ahead and bought him anyway. And on the way home, I called him and said, "You want the good news or the bad news?" He said, "I know the bad news. You bought that little bitty horse." I said, "That's the good news. The bad news is we got to pay for him tomorrow."
It's been quite the ride.
Real good ride.
All right, guys, $18,000. They plunked down this partnership. $1.5 million later, here we are. Little Rocket Man is the Hoosier Park Pacing Derby champion.
Yes, he is, Gabe. Maybe he's little, but he has racked up a lot of wins in his career. And just as you heard Gabe say, been quite the ride and quite a bit in the bank now for Little Rocket Man.
Yeah, and you can see right here, too, in the stretch as the horses are coming to him. You can see his ears are up, and he's kind of with his stride digging down. And he fought off two good horses around him in a Bulldog Hanover and by the Missile. So hats off to that group, and we've seen it tonight. You know, you've seen a lot of horses that did not go for a lot of money that have turned into champions on the track.
$3.40 winner, Little Rocket Man. Maybe he's little, but he has a huge heart, and he really showed that today in the Pacing Derby. As we turn our attention to the feature this evening, the Caesars Trotting Classic coming up. It's race 13, the 1-mile trot here. Taking a look at the field, winner's bet currently 6-5.
Yeah, it comes off a very nice rebound race for this horse who broke in the Maple Leaf Trot 2 starts before that. So getting the job done last time out. It was the favorite last time out. We'll see what happens here. I think the odds are going to change a bit off of what we see here, and I think eventually the second choice, the 4, Periculum, is going to end up being the favorite.
Periculum, he does make quite a bit of sense. Morning line favorite. That 5-year-old with Scotty Zeron in the bike. Periculum 5-2. The number 2, though, Chapper Craze. There he is in the paddock getting ready for the Caesars Trotting Classic coming up, making sure all the equipment is in place. We'll talk a little bit more about his chances and the rest of the field after this on America's Day at the Races.
We are athletes. We are drivers. We are caretakers. We are owners. We are trainers. We are fans. We are harness racing. RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
We're back on America's Day at the Races here on Fox Sports 1, and as we promised earlier on before the break, taking a look at where the standings have the overall look at the fields here with the Hambletonian Society Standardbred rankings. Twin B Joe Fresh, number 1 for the 10th straight week, as this is week 14 here, of course, before what took place yesterday in the Little Brown Jug.
Right, and this will change weekly as they put this out, but for now, the top 2 horses that are there, they are legit.
And they've been holding strong there between both mares, too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, which is cool. And, you know, Jiggy Jog is the best trotter that's out there currently, period, hands down.
But Twin B, Joe Fresh, Gabe, and Jessica, 10 straight weeks in the number 1 spot in the Standardbred rankings. Just amazing, and she really has been amazing this year.
Yes, definitely has been amazing. Gabe, a tank, as I like to call her, in the number 1 spot for the Standardbreds right now. We haven't seen her in a couple weeks. She just won the Milton. I would assume they're heading towards the Dayton Distaff Derby next.
Yeah, I would think so. That's next week, and she is just so sensational. Just rarely do we see like a 4-year-old mare that would be at the top of the standings, but that tells you how special Twin B Joe Fresh is. Chris Ryder is her trainer. How about this? Dexter Dunn-drives her, and he co-owns her. So that's a huge nugget there for him. I've only seen him own maybe 4 or 5 racehorses, but he's got the right one here. He's got co-ownership of the top Standardbred in the sport. And you are taking a look back there at the Milton, where Twin B Joe Fresh was victorious once again.
I mean, if you're a fan of Twin B Joe Fresh, you may as well go vote for Team Dunn in the Breeders' Crown Charity Challenge, because he co-owns Twin B Joe Fresh, and he also sits behind Jiggy Jog, who's undefeated this year. She took the Yonkers International Trot with ease this year.
She did. That's $1 million race at Yonkers, Jess. They shipped male horses horses in from France, from Sweden, all over with $1 million on the line. It made no difference. She beat at the Mills. We're going to roll it back here, though, and take a look at the Cutler. Now, this was back in May at the Big M, also against male rivals. That's not easy to do for a mare to race against the boys. It was very easy for Jiggy Jog. She has made quick work, and this is going to be quite the battle as the season moves on, because these mares clearly headline the entire sport right now, and we just have not seen a misstep from either in quite some time. Jiggy Jog has been sensational, and you'll see that she is going to jog, in fact, right there.
You know, she just has a quick turn of the foot off of the gate and powering home. I've never seen a horse chase down horses as well as her.
She does, and that seems to always have her in the right spot at the right time. You just see when they turn for home, he started to launch her up 3 wide or 4 wide, and she just picks up the pieces. She loves a target, and when she sees one, she rarely comes up short.
No, she rarely comes up short. Undefeated so far in her season this year. And another horse we haven't seen and we'll see coming up soon is Carl, the Hambletonian champ, of course, giving Nancy Tactor back-to-back Hambletonians. First one to do it since her father. And it gives Yannick Gingras his first Hambletonian. It was an emotional one.
It was. It was a wet one as well. You and I got drenched out there on that day, but a good one from Carl. Unfortunately, did take a misstep in the Kentucky Sire Stakes final. That was a $400,000 race this past Sunday in Lexington. He just got beat. He raced well and defeated. He was second. But it may not hurt him, Jess, because even the third-place horse, Tajinski, was a little flat there, the Jug. So behind those two mares, you know, we've seen a couple of losses, you know, from some of the others down that top 10 pole. But Carl's going to bounce back. He's a champion. You know, his next huge race is going to be the third leg of the Trotting Triple Crown. That'll be the Kentucky Futurity on closing day at the Red Mile on October the 6th. And I believe that will be part of our America's Day at the Races broadcast as well.
Yes. You know, do always remind people, listeners, watchers that that's why we race these horses, because they are beatable. They're not machines.
They are not. And Carl just had, you know, maybe a little bit of a tough day. He was 1-9 there. He still raced well. I mean, he got beat maybe a neck at the end of the day, so let's not be too hard on him. He captured the biggest crown of the entire sport there on Hambletonian Day. That's the Derby for hardest racing, $1 million race, and he is quite the guy there. Carl, I know, will bounce back. We'll see if he can deliver. It's going to be a good field, though, in that Kentucky Futurity.
Yes, it is. And, you know, plenty of other horses on that list as well that we haven't been able to see yet on this show. I'm really looking forward to those Breeders' Crown eliminations, Gabe. I don't know how much you pay attention to the racing at Mohawk. There's a lot of nice horses eligible to the Breeders' Crown.
Oh, yes. And, you know, they have a ton of good horses that are based north of the border up there at Woodbine at Mohawk Park. And, you know, that's really where it comes down to the Breeders' Crown, as they say. And it's the year-end championship events. That'll be in October. That'll be part of our broadcast here as well up at the Meadowlands. So we can't wait. That's the one time of year that really the worlds collide. The best take center stage.
Yes, and even to go further with on that, Ohio, you know, Rick Wink, Swingtown, Ronnie Burke has a couple of other ones as well. So really looking forward to those Breeders' Crown actions, but we still have plenty more to cover. The Caesars Trotting Classic is up next, Acacia.
It certainly is, guys, as we have a great field coming up here for this Caesars Trotting Classics. But just to wrap up some thoughts on the rankings there, Paul, when we talked about Twin B Joe Fresh and just how impressive she's been for a mare to be atop those standings for 10 straight weeks, her and Jiggy Jog. And then there really is kind of a lot of movement and a lot of open-endedness after that, and a lot will be decided, as Gabe mentioned, going into Breeders' Crown weekend.
Yeah, and after what we saw yesterday as well, too, with Nijinsky, that horse is obviously going to drop from third down as well. So it'll be interesting to see when the new rankings come out what happens based on what we saw yesterday, what we see tonight, and going forward. Now, the list that we saw, it doesn't determine who's going to be Horse of the Year per se. And it all comes down to the crown, as we've said multiple times tonight, too. So we'll have to see how everybody races out the rest of the year. But it's going to be competitive because, again, there's no guarantees. And when all of these stars get together, something has to give.
There is curriculum in the paddock and getting ready to head out for this Caesars Trotting Classic feature coming up here in race 13, the 1 mile trot. As we'll take a look at curriculum and Oh Well finishing 1-2 in the Maple Leaf.
You know, and despite the fact that this race set up for a closer and the pace ended up incinerating because, you know, Stream didn't make the top, pressing the top with Logan Park, who then sprinted away. Curriculum is still a very, very good trotter, finishes off races well. And really, the blemish last time out, if we're going to say there was even a blemish, was losing to Jiggy Jog last time out. So there's no shame in that with her being the best trotter. She's the best trotter around, period. So this horse kicked clear very well. Oh Well also did a good job coming from last in this race. It'll be interesting to see if they both can set up shop and come with their runs late as well in here.
Yeah, should be mentioned too. Twin B Joe Fresh, a pacing
Yes,
mare, Jiggy
yeah.
Jog, a trotter.
Yeah.
So yeah, that does. While they're 1-2 in the standings, they're kind of different in what they're doing out on the track. So Periculum facing Jiggy Jog last time out, like you said, she has been dominant as far as the trotters are concerned. Winner's bet though going out for Nancy Tactor. Always dangerous to take a look at the horses coming out from Nancy's barn. What happened with this one in the Maple Leaf?
Just kind of jumped it off, just wasn't this horse's night. I mean, but you know what was really good was to see this rebound in this start in the Hill Memorial over at Scioto Downs. Even though it's 5/8 mile track, this horse has run well on the big tracks before. And this was nice to see this horse get up and get the win in here, rebound off of that race, and hopefully comes into this race, you know, with that solid form underneath. So we'll see what happens in here, but right now, second choice.
Let's meet the field, starting things off with It's Academic, the 7-year-old.
I'll tell you one thing. This horse won this race last year, was second in this race in 2022, and just likes it here at Hoosier Park. So I am not deterred by the 16-1 on this horse.
Big price for one that can step up and be effective in some of these big nights. Here's Chapper Craze, the 2.
Finished behind It's Academic in the Spirit of Massachusetts, and been a bigger price against several of these.
There's the 3 Oh Well, finished second in the Maple Leaf behind Periculum.
Yeah, talked about it was a much better effort for that horse for second. And he could pop those big races from time to time. You like him, you're getting 9-1 tonight. He's got a good post, too, to get a decent trip.
Generous price on him in comparison to the horse that will be coming up next in Periculum. These horses that were finishing 1-2 last time out, to see what Periculum can do as your favorite.
And really, the last couple of defeats for this horse have been to Jiggy Jog. So there's no shame in that for this horse. And Scott Zeron, you know, has said before, it's not him that's made this horse run better. It's just the body of work over the past year or two with this horse. But I think Scotty's got something to do with it.
Big price on this horse, Ponda Jet.
Yeah, steady diet of open races since coming back to Hoosier. Two race winning streak coming into tonight for this horse.
32-1 right now on the board. And second choice will be up next, the 6 Winner's Bet.
You know, was out a long time in that Charlie Hill Memorial last time. But you know what? He won it, and it was in a track record as well for this horse. They bet him like they knew, and they obviously did. So it was nice to see him get back to that off the previous effort. So shouldn't be out too long tonight. Should be rolling.
Rebounded with a big performance that day. Here's Hill Exotic. Some long shots towards the outside.
Yeah, his back class needs to show it, though, because hasn't really shown much in the recent starts.
Flagman, also a big price.
Like Ponda Jet's been in the opens here with a few victories, so the water's deeper tonight for this horse, and he's got a wide post, too.
Help First Edition will be next, trying to get back on track.
Yeah, needs some help against these guys, and now has the wide post, too, so it's kind of a pass for me for Help First Edition tonight.
That's Flagman still out there. Help First Edition is somewhere, being a little bit shy, been a little bit camera shy recently as well.
Flagman's pretty happy out there.
Yeah, Flagman certainly touting himself. There is Help First Edition, big price, as we mentioned. John DeLong's already had a big evening over at Hoosier. And next will be from the second tier, MM's Dream, a horse that has been right there with some of the big names.
Yeah, I forget, you know, and I'm forgiving the trip last time in the McCuna because that was a disaster from the quarter on for this horse. So the Dr. John Steele Memorial was more like it for this horse. You know, horse, she's good enough. She's got to just navigate the second tier to do it. She's got to find her position fast and get a nice spot.
And that's the 5-year-old mare, as you touched on, taking on the boys here in that Caesars Trotting Classic. Top pick for you, Paul?
Listen, you know, Periculum's the horse to beat in here. I know Winner's Bet's gotten better. It's Academic, 15-1 for me. I'm taking a swing for the fences in here. You know, took care of business in the Spirit of Massachusetts, then won for fun at Northfield. That was back-to-back Tom Aldrich President's races for this horse, and we've seen it before with this horse. It doesn't matter really the form with this horse coming in. Won this race last year, was second in 2022. Always runs well here, would run at Hoosier, just needs to get a good spot early to be able to finish off this mile. I'm going to take a shot with him at 16-1.
Getting a generous price there from It's Academic, who can show up in these big races. For more, though, in the field for Caesars Trotting Classic, Gabe and Jessica, nearly time for the big one.
Yes, it is, Acacia. We thought that the Hoosier Park Pacing Derby attracted a nice field. I think this is a really nice field that they attracted for the Caesars Trotting Classic. Let's get started, Gabe, because there's lots of angles that you could take in here. We'll start with Periculum. Of course, the winner of the Maple Leaf Trot up in Canada. This guy switched over to Scotty Z just a couple of starts ago. Mateus has kind of been, I guess, guiding him through those first couple of races. Like you'd mentioned earlier on in the card, he went over to Europe and then came back. It's taken him a little bit of time, but he's sharp.
Well, and again, that's expected because when you ship back over here to the States from overseas, you have to, sort of quarantine, and that takes a little bit. Then you have to get back into your training regimen, and, it's just a little jet lag, Jess, as we all have. Maybe this week, it's been a busy week. But Periculum fits driver Scott Zeron like a glove. They call him the Bunny Man for a reason. He's very patient. He's very tactful, and he is at the bike here, and he draws a perfect post to get away somewhere mid-pack with Periculum. I think he's going to deploy that closing kick, and I think with this long Hoosier Park stretch, again, the longest in the sport of harness racing, I think Periculum is going to tee off here when it counts, and I think he'll sweep past this field through the lane.
I think this guy has plenty of versatility, too. We've seen him sweep to the front halfway through the mile and overnight company, but he can sit on the outside of horses, it feels like forever, and still go by him in the end of the mile. And I think that's going to work to his advantage with the long Hoosier Park stretch here tonight. Chapper Craze, of course, soft spot in your heart for this one. He set up the fractions in the Charlie Hill Memorial last week, obviously got outgunned by Winner's Bet and Lexus Cody. He gets post advantage here.
Yeah, he does. He's got a good post. He's got an aggressive pilot, Yannick Gingras. We had mentioned he was on the front end last time at that Charlie Hill Saldo. I'm just not sure he does his best work on the front, but early speed is his weapon of choice here. He's up there 13-1. That's a good price, Jess, for Chapper Craze. I think he's going to be well situated here. I think he'll try and possibly outfoot the stablemate. It's Academic dead at the inside. Good and nice seat, but I think ultimately he'll do his best work if someone comes and covers him up, if he gets to draft along for a piece and then try and pounce late.
Dexter Dunn won this race back in 2022 with a mare, Bella Bellini. He sits behind Winner's Bet tonight for Nancy Tactor. A bit hot in the Maple Leaf Trot elimination two-back. That's when he went off stride behind the gate from an outside post. Never really saw a pylon in the Charlie Hill Memorial there. He come back half in 53 and change. 50-4, 26-2 at the end of it. I think that's a perfect spot for him.
When you see a good post here as well, and you saw Dexter just warming up Winner's Bet, just keeping him under control, keep it nice and relaxed. And you see that the different warm-ups can actually be telling the sport of harness racing, Jess. When you see someone scoring them down very quick, typically that means they're trying to get them keyed up, possibly going to leave the gate. I think Dexter wants to keep the 6 Winner's Bet in here as quiet as he can. He comes off maybe the most impressive win of his life in my mind. That back half there at Souder Downs on a 5/8 track was 53 and change. For newcomers to the sport, it's very simple. That's fast.
Yeah.
And he got it done by a length there. So I thought that was just an eye-opening performance. He draws a good post here as well. I think similar, he'll be looking to follow maybe the favorite Periculum. If Dex could tee up that trip for Winner's Bet, I think he's a big threat here. He's a second choice right now, 2-1.
It's Academic, maybe a lightly raced this season. 2 wins from 6 starts. Some gaps in his schedule. Of course, he was a winner of this race last year.
He was, and as Paul said, he's a little bit of a horse for the course. Here at Hoosier Park, he's always raced well here. He goes to the sport's all-time leading trader. In fact, the all-time leading trader in the history of horse racing, Ron Burke, with over $300 million. He just keeps churning and churning. It's Academic, one of the superstars of that barn. But he just hasn't quite been himself. The last win was on August the 10th there at the Northfield in the $100,000 race, but that was a spot he was one to die. Simply got in an easy spot. This is no easy spot tonight. We'll see what It's Academic has in store.
Also do want to shout out the 10mm's Dream returning to her home track. Indiana superstar, and also high praises from trainer Ron Burke. The one we've been waiting for, this Caesars Trotting Classic, is at the gate. Michael Chamberlain has your call.
Periculum is 6-5. Field is on gate. They are up. It's an even start. At the inside, Chopper Kraz Oh well, there goes Ponda Jet. At the inside, it's Academic. Then Winner's Bet is up on the outside. Periculum comes away 6th. MM's Dream is to the inside of Hill Exotic. Then Flagman and Help First Edition, the trailing twosome with the field on the first turn. Ponda Jet, the leader. Winner's Bet up on the outside 2nd. Then Chapper Kraz is 3rd. It's Academic. A length and a half back to Oh Well. Racing next is Periculum. Then MM's Dream. The 8th spot is Hill Exotic and Flagman and Help First Edition. The opening quarter was 27 seconds. They're on the back stretch, and Winner's Bet is in front. Winner's Bet has it by a length. Next in second, that's Ponda Jet, and they're now at the half-mile mark. 55-1, 28-1 the second quarter. Winner's Bet, Ponda Jet, the top 2. Chapper Kraz is 3rd. Oh Well is moving up on the outside first over. And coming on second over is Periculum. Then to the inside, it's Academic. On the outside, MM's Dream. Inside of her is Help First Edition. And the last 2 are Hill Exotic and Flagman. Winner's Bet's got a 4-length lead. Winner's Bet is opening up on this field now. 3 quarters on the board in 1:23-1, 28 seconds that third quarter, and they've got to try and catch Winner's Bet, who's in front by 5. Oh Well is now second. Ponda Jet, Chapper Kraz to the inside, and then trying to move up here on the outside is Periculum. It's Winner's Bet. Winner's Bet has it by 5 lengths. Oh Well and Periculum. Chapper Kraz to the inside, Winner's Bet, and he is a winner tonight in emphatic fashion. It is close for second. Oh Well, Periculum. It's Academic was up for 4th, 150-3.
$150-3 in the Caesars Trotting Classic. Winner's Bet goes gate to wire.
My goodness, Jess, I'd mentioned that I'd never seen him look any better than that last win, and he proved that was no fluke here tonight. I'm not sure he ever even took a deep breath here. The fractions were not overly taxing for this level of racing. They were the quarter 27. That's sort of where he took over the lead. He was there the half 55-1. That was a 28-1 second quarter. Got another 28-second third quarter, 123-1. So this party was well over. He drew clear. He opened up there turning for home. And again, just an easy win. I think he could have won it by as many as he would have liked. He was wrapped up at the finish.
Yeah, the long Hoosier Park stretch didn't seem to bother him tonight. It was the Marcus Melander trainees, Oh Well, Periculum, up for 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, the finish here 6-3, 4-1, I think, under the wire. Oh Well, a pretty good price here, double digits, 10-1. He'll split the 2 favorites. But how about the late action, Jess? Winner's Bet actually offers the slight favorite at even money proposition.
150-3, Winner's Bet. Nancy Tactor, Dexter Dunn get the job done.
Winner's Bet impressive here in the Caesars Trotting Classic, putting some separation on this field. And just as Gabe said, he looked good last time. He looked even better today.
Yeah, it's good to see him back off that rebound race and then that win. And Dexter Dunn, man, he loves what he drives sometimes because he had this horse revved up and took this horse right on the backside to the top.
Trained by Nancy Tactor, who's standing by with Jess.
Thanks, Acacia. Winner's Bet gets the job done in the Caesars Trotting Classic. I didn't think he could look any better than he did at Scioto, but he proved me wrong tonight.
Yeah, he's been really good. You know, unfortunately, he ran behind the gate in the elimination of the Maple Leaf Trot. Otherwise, I think he would have done really well there, too. But he's really coming into good form. He's very chill and very confident in himself right now, so I think he's going to continue to perform well.
He seems really handy out there as well.
Yeah, he's been so good. Like, when I warmed him up today, he was just 2 fingers, really happy to be out there, ears up the entire time. So he just really feels good about himself.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Winner's Bet gets the job done in the Caesars Trotting Classic. Dexter Dunn, 150-3. Acacia.
Big performance from your winner here. Winner's Bet. Just thank you for Nancy Tactor, who, as she said, that miscue 2 back, disappointment, but coming back, proving that he still had it in him, and then to show up in a night like this certainly stamps him as a horse that is in good form right now, back where he needs to be.
Yeah, big race win for him, and being able to back it up this time too by being in the race flow early. It wasn't that he came from well off the pace either. He made the lead as they headed into the backstretch and just basically got the separation that he needed and was able to hold on. And I mean, really, it was never in doubt at all.
Big performance from Winner's Bet, stepping away from his competition tonight in the Caesars Trotting Classic. As Gabe mentioned, he actually did go off the slight favorite at even money, $4.20. Winner, Oh Well, and Periculum checking in second, and third. But no doubt about your winner, Winner's Bet. Paul, been a lot of fun getting a chance to talk some harness racing with you over the last couple of days.
As always, it's always great to be here with you and be here with everyone.
Absolutely. We saw some really nice performances tonight. As mentioned, there's still going to be a lot of exciting action to come, especially as we march on to that Breeders' Crown. We'll have coverage the end of October. But thank you all for joining us this evening. What was your favorite performance tonight?
You know, there were so many, but for me, I think I'm going to go with Sabonis.
Yeah,
just
nice
based on the
effort.
fact that Sabonis was not an expensive purchase and now is on a dozen in a row and 15 to 16. So the horse is legit.
Waiting for room, had to come up the inside like that, being able to finally muscle his way through, survive that inquiry, and moving on. A little bit of a dramatic race there for Sabonis, but a big effort. I would say I'm probably most impressed by Winner's Bet, just getting a chance to see him come back and do what he's done in his last couple of races. When you're able to put some separation and kind of extend that lead, to me, that's always something really impressive.
Yeah, when you see them draw off like that, it's impressive, especially after the fractions. I mean, the fractions were not too taxing, but still, you're expending the energy to get to the front and stay in front. So, and you know those horses are coming behind you because you hear them coming.
Nobody catching Winner's Bet as he took the Caesars Trotting Classic impressively. For Gabe Pruitt, Jessica Otten, Paul Verderosa, I'm Acacia Clement. Thank you so much for joining us on our FS1 coverage this evening from Harrah's Hoosier Park. We'll be back with America's Day at the races tomorrow afternoon. Starting at 12:30, live coverage from Belmont at the Big A, and including some action from Parks as well on the thoroughbred side. But here tonight, we saw little Rocket Man. Maybe he's little, but he has a huge heart, and he really showed it in the Hoosier Pacing Derby. And how about Winner's Bet, who was so impressive, extending that lead in the Caesars Trotting Classic. Thanks for joining us. Good night, everyone.